Alright, what's up guys? It's the Fallen Sanctum here. We're back with the knockout stage, day 1. Right now, we're watching the pre-show, but we'll be back with Weibo and LNG for game number 1. Just getting the audio and everything set up. Making sure everything works on my end. So, hope to see you there. And I'll be back in just a jiffy.
Déchaînez-vous encore une fois pour vos quarts de finalistes, LNG VS Gaming.
Bonjour, salut, bienvenue, and welcome to World's Quarterfinals here in Paris. It is our honor to present to you Weibo Gaming versus LNG. I'm Medic, I'm joined by Kobe and by Vedius on the desk today for what is likely to be a very exciting and hopefully close series.
We would expect it to go the full maximum amount of games because even though LNG did get the 3-0 in regional finals, the previous 4 series of that, you get max games here, and these teams know each other
it
so
would be
incredibly well.
Iconic if we got
so excited for
35 games here because in the next 7 best of 5s.
8-8 coming into this. What matters is who wins
that would be
Worlds.
iconic as fuck.
It's a battle of
brothers, we'd have 35 hours of Worlds content
allies, and now
instead
enemies,
of probably
they put their dreams on the
3
line
per day
to fight for a spot in the semi-finals. Our first quarter-final matchup, and as you gentlemen rightly said,
the
it's
goated
to be a banger as 2 LPL
Very,
teams join us on the rift today. We're excited to see what they bring in the meta. I'm curious as to how things have evolved.
Gala's Kaisa is going to be a heavy point of contention. Both lines.
There's oftentimes
okay, the Rumble ban against Zika. Very smart.
To any other team here at Worlds.
What are we going to try? Okay, we're banning, you know, very smart Zhao who showed that he can play. And they are blue side, so I wouldn't want to lose them to the first day. Are we going to see a priority on the Skarner ban? Because this champion...
Because both of the Lucian games that Xiaohu played so far at Worlds versus other teams,
Scouts, Nico? Okay.
LNG have only yet played
Aurora.
Side here at
Okay.
Worlds.
Xiaohu showed he can play both sides of the matchup.
Surprises there. Rumble and Nico taken away by Weibo to kick us off. We'll see if LNG do give that respect over to Xiaohu once again and remove the Lucian as their final ban.
Both the Ziggs and the Ashe are available. Both champions that we've seen. Both AD carries highly valued. The question is, what will the final ban be here for Weibo? The Silas. Jack was talking about it on the desk. We were talking about it coming into today's series. How
Scout Silas
be. They don't want to give that option to Scout. Now, again, Ashe, Skarner, Ziggs, all big priority picks that are available right now.
You ban Ezreal, man.
And they go with the Ezreal ban that both
Isn't
of them
Ashe first pick
successfully as well. So first pick priority here in game number 1 will tell a lot for Weibo.
100%.
Tarzan has definitely had a preference for the Skarner, as have many other junglers.
I mean, Tarzan also hasn't lost on the Skarner at Worlds. 100% win rate on it in the 3 games he's played. It is the only champion he's played more than once here at Worlds 2024. So wouldn't be surprised at all.
Okay, it's locked in.
Pick 1.
Good.
They lock it in, and now LNG, they'll have known this is going to happen. They'll have known that the Skarner is just such a commodity that it has to be picked up early wherever they go in with the next couple of picks.
I mean, it wouldn't be an LPL game if we didn't get a high priority. Gentlemen, the hover from LNG. But right now, Zucker is hovering the something that we've seen very prevalent in the meta. It was Zeus that showed us the Gragas counter here at the World Championship. Let's see what has been prepared. Is going to be the lock-in for Scout. Will they pair this alongside the buy? knowing that a Morgana is going to come.
Nah, you trolling. You trolling.
She's
gonna be renekted
though, because I feel like LNG, even though they only showed 4
I mean, it's
so
Zika's
far,
renekted.
they really were
I
cooking
trust
in a
them a
lot of
little
them.
more than
You know,
some
the
other
Camille that was
people's
flashed over there, their combination with the
Wallahi.
Galio, but it's gonna be nothing spicy in this game so far. As you mentioned, Vedius, it is very straightforward, generalist blind picks here for both solo lanes.
It does seem a little odd to me not to just pick the Vi there, where you already know the Skarner's locked in. You can save the Renekton for R3, and if you did have a counter pick for something Weibo might, you know, bring out here, it would make more sense to save that for your third pick.
I think they just really proud the Renekton here, and they're like, fine if Breathe goes to the Cassante or something into it. So we'll see if there's any extra spice there. But the Ashe also, so Ashe to me, for Weibo, is a bigger pick, not just because of bottom lane, but because they have often paired the Ashe with Tarzan's Nidalee. And I love a good Tarzan Nidalee. Your hawk shot and your pushing lane that you kind of guarantee with the Ashe sometimes. It doesn't mean it's necessarily guaranteed. It's actually very far from guaranteed because they also lock in another AP threat here, the Orianna. And so the Nidalee prow even drops further. But
it would have to move the Skarner to top lane as well, which there's, or even support. There's a few things that are stopping the Nidalee. I know we're all excited for it. It was one of Tarzan's best picks, especially against LNG. He can really rule the map on it, but we will see if that's locked in instead.
The lights out comp! Are we gonna see the Rakan here from Hong?
Very good at diving the back line.
They have to ban Rakan. They have to know it's coming. They have to know it's coming. Okay, banning the Bromberry.
Low mobility in the sense that there's no way that that Orianna is getting away from the Nocturne. And as
I mean, it makes sense. If you want to play lights out, you need Rakan.
Banned away to,
well, you normally you need Rakan and Nico, but
likely looking at something like a Rel in terms of high priority here.
For Nico, but you really need
the Kai'Sa now taking away from Gala.
Banning Gala's Kai'Sa.
Showing
the
and Weibo have a very solid structured team fight here, so trying to take out any of those extra tools makes a lot of sense. Gala, of course, the premier Kai'Sa player.
LNG could consider a misfortune ban here when you kind of look at the Wombo combo. No, instead, they're taking the Jax away from Breathe. You showcased it a few times here at the World Championship, and they said that's not something we want to have to deal with, especially on the side lane.
So now there's really just Gnar in the top lane. Gnar, Cassante.
Remove the Jhin.
Neither have a really fun Renekton matchup.
With the dive.
I actually wouldn't mind a Poppy here from Weibo in support. Like you, obviously the Nocturne's going to get on the backline anyway, but you can stop the Ahri, you can stop the Renekton from following up onto your AD carry.
Chris, Poppy has definitely been quite good, especially his ganks when he's roaming around towards mid too.
Huh? No, Gala! Do not tease me! Gala!
Seeing all the different champions that Gala's very confident on. But yeah, I think Jhin does make a lot of sense in the context of this comp, just as easy follow-up.
Yeah.
Any CC that lands, it's so easy for
he's gonna be in the back line just firing away.
Also gives you great siege thanks to the ultimate available. But LNG have built themselves a pretty straightforward dive composition. Great at attacking side lanes. They'll likely round this out with either a Leona or a Rel to just give them that extra team fight oomph. Weibo now need to find, I imagine, some disengaged tools. Maybe a Renata could be an option to help act as the
but if they pick Renata here for Crisp, I really don't want to see the Rakan. Well, there's not much fun to play an engaged champion into a Renata, man. The laning phase is literally unplayable.
For Weibo. A lot of very nice
the handshake is literally the
a couple of
most
those, like,
toxic
defensive
skill
supports that you
in the
mentioned,
game.
possibilities here, but it is kind of blind, so you are a little bit worried about the answer. Steal away the Rel from that big engage.
She's a good support. She can also disengage. She can jump onto the backline with the Magnet Storm, kind of sacrifice herself to make sure that your players have a little bit more time.
The takeaway of the Rakan is really
does a similar
smart.
thing, but gives you a better ball delivery system in my eyes. With him jumping in, following up an initial engage, you get the ball in there, and then it's very easy to land a shockwave when multiple players are charmed up.
This meta has proven to be very side lane driven.
Well,
and I think that the problem with Orianna in the meta is that she struggles to play on side lanes. What I think Rakan offers is that additional side lane support given that you're going to be looking to roam.
All right, you know the rules.
Ash as an
Mike
independent
out.
carry is fairly strong in an
We'll be
isolated
back
1v2
with
or even
additional
1v1.
commentary when
But
needed.
you've got to be careful of that lack of mobility, specifically against an Octon. So Crisp's positioning on the map is going to be crucial, as Weiwei is going to be looking to catch off those targets.
And Crisp is one of the most, let's say, like fearless with positioning. Very, very aggressive with positioning. Also very aggressive with summoner spells, you know.
Yeah.
He's one to like spend multiple summoner spells in lane just to get lane prio to try and play with 2. So very excited for this one. Game number 1 tells a lot for the full best of 5 and the direction that our just single best of meta will go.
It seems that both teams are taking a very traditional approach to the draft, nothing too crazy, perhaps testing the waters for game 1. We'll see what level they deliver, but as you both have already highlighted for us, throughout the year it has been incredibly close between these two organizations. Throughout the years there have been roster swaps. People have played on LNG, they played for Weibo. Just last year they've swapped junglers between the two. Like, there's so much history and story between these two teams that, as they said in the promo, let's have a good match, that's what we're all here for, and let's get onto the rift for game 1.
Eight and 8 between these teams throughout the year. Last year, Weibo made it all the way to the World's Finals, where LNG came up short, getting eliminated in this very stage by T1. Here, LNG look across against a very familiar opposition, some obviously more familiar than others. Tarzan was with them there last year, liked a couple of years ago. But Weibo, again, it feels like a run of mojo. Similarly to playoffs they ran through, based off just their ability to be the underdog, and here we'll see if they can continue that at Worlds 2024. Now, everyone at home, remember you can log into your Riot account on lolesports.com and watch Worlds live to earn exclusive Worlds icons, emotes, capsules, skins. So make sure you are logging in to lolesports.com.
The matchup I'm really excited for is the rematch once again of Xiaohu versus Scout. Medic, you were talking to me about it so extensively coming into this series about how much these two rivals have met in the mid lane, the record being incredibly close as well.
112 matchups between the two of them across the years. Obviously, Xiaohu used to be on RNG, Scout used to be EDG's main man, so they go all the way back in the LPL. It is 58-54 in favor of Xiaohu. Scout can get that closer here, but he would still be one game behind even if LNG 3-0 the series.
And here we're gonna see Weibo move in for the lane swap, take over the jungle, make sure that there is going to be no steal away from the quote-unquote weak side jungle camps. So nicely done there. They guarantee that Tarzan will be able to get all 3 on the side of the red quadrant, and they chase them off. Meanwhile, you get the mirror, Weiwei right into the other side and starts clearing the opposite jungle.
Good force out there by Crisp, just making Scout take a little bit of his health and take the long way around. Zucker's going to come across to bolster the defense on this mid lane tower, make sure that Scout can get some XP, and you know, obviously the Renekton will be very happy to soak up any XP he can acquire there as well.
The slow push coming in from Gala and Hung in the bot lane as Tarzan splits the map. The question is, Breathe now hitting level 2. When is he looking to TP towards the bot side? For now, he's sticking around the top lane. The mid wave, Zucker still yet to reach that level 2 mark.
It's actually a really interesting switch from LNG, because usually what you'll see is the support will go and cover, right? Crisp is now coming across. Zucker's going to go down towards the bottom side, but they're leaving a lot of time with that top lane tower free for Weibo.
Yeah, the big thing to watch is, can Chris get under the turret? Because they can teleport in Breathe level 2. Chris would want to try and defend under tower, but Weiwei's trying to block.
He only has the Gleaming Quill in the Grand Entrance right now, no Battle Dance, so none of that shielding from the Rakan. Does have the heal and the flash. He'll try and make his way towards this turret, but they've already lost one plate.
Oh, look, they're rotating Tarzan as well, so there's going to be 3 members here.
Tarzan's on his way. Breathe in, good wallop, triple stun with the Mega Gnar. LNG thinking about the dive. Breathe dives back in. The damage going down onto Crisp as he's able to dash away. Suppress on Gala will lock him up under the tower, and we've got to pause. We got to pause. Everything goes sepia as Crisp goes down.
3 minutes in, and already we find ourselves with a pause. I mean, the idea there from the bot lane of Weibo, the bot lane of Weibo, Breathe with a great TP, lands the connects the wallop, but the focus onto Crisp. It's such a dangerous thing with the amount of mobility that he has available. He has the flash, he has the heal, he's able to create that space between him and the opposition. He still ends up dropping, But I feel like that the fact that Weibo, they should be in a position to outplay this given the HP difference that I'm seeing on my screen right now.
Gala's 200 HP under tower. Like, that AD carry is gone for if we see the game continuing from here.
Yeah, just at our first taste of action in this game, immediately, I mean, it could have been way worse for LNG because, as you say, it was actually Weiwei with the Nocturne Q that was able to snipe Crisp as Crisp was able to battle dance away and get under tower. They did end up getting that, but yeah, I think Gala will be very short to follow here, and it's all about the kind of trail on the long play here, because usually you're expecting the support level 2 and then the top laner teleports in level 2 and them trying to defend 2v4 on the dive. But because Tarzan actually recalled, and Tarzan here only opted for 3 camps. So Jungle is skipping camps to come down here to 3v4 and try and really win this attempted dive is the wrinkle that Weibo threw in. And I think it is a good one. It would have been even more successful, of course, if Chris had barely been able to squeeze by and avoid that Nocturne Q, but very excited to see what happens in the remainder of this play.
It's one of those things you have to do if a team knows you so well as well, right? They'd be like, well, every time we played this in the past, Tarzan's just gone and done his second set of camps, so now we can go for that 4v2 dive on the bottom side. It is an LNG pause, by the way. We are finding out exactly why that has occurred, and we will tell you that as soon as possible. A peripheral issue for one of the LNG players is what I have just been informed.
Yeah, now's quite an important time to have a functioning peripheral, I would say.
It's true, yeah.
The awkward part for LNG is, I mean, you guys can't see it, but we can. The HP bars for both Gala and Zucker are not great right now, both level 2 as well, versus the level 3 of Tarzan and Breathe. I think Breathe is also about to lose his Mega Gnar, which means that he's also in a position to then start chipping away at those HP bars as well. So I think that Weibo, even though they initially lost Crisp, there's a lot to be gained here for Weibo to punish the dive from LNG.
I love that, Vedius, because even the bigger part that they're going to gain isn't just this dive defense. They've got the Ashe pushing on the extra lane on top side. So regardless, they're getting resources out of all 3 lanes. Whereas LNG, of course, you know, with 4 people diving on bottom side, they're only getting resources on 2 of the lanes. So no matter what happens when we come out of this pause, I think that Weibo are going to be, you know, hugely the ones benefiting.
I agree with you, but I won't say no matter what, because what if LNG just get 3 kills and no one dies? I feel like they'll be pretty happy with that situation. I do see the ready checks coming out in chat, so hopefully we'll be jumping back on into the game in just a second. Just to inform everyone at home, there's a peripheral issue for LNG. Currently, LNG started to dive under the bot lane tower. 3 members of Weibo have responded. We have seen a Crisp fall, but 2 members of LNG are very low, so we're expecting that Breathe and Tarzan may be able to get a couple kills in recompense.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a second, Medic. You get ready, because you know we're going to get straight back into the action in no time. But again, to set the scene, as you rightly said, Crisp is the first to fall. He ended up using all of his summoner spells, but both Tarzan and Breathe, full HP. The unpause is coming through, so Medic, take it away.
Well, the dive continues to happen. Gala is going to fall. We can't quite see it on our screens as of yet, but we'll jump back down into the bot lane. Zucker's very low as well. He goes down. It's 2 for Weibo so far. Weiwei trying to trade back onto Tarzan. Hung takes the kill. Breathe able to get back to the safety of the tower, but in the end, it's a 2 for 2.
And again, a 2 for 2 is great news for Weibo there. You're going to see the immediate teleport out from Zuka up to the top side after dying, but it's so nice here because Light was up at the tower. Ashe was able to get that extra lane here. And now he can just continue to harass and bully. Look at all this extra damage.
Crucially, the timing of the dive is very important as well, because Kobe was talking earlier about how with the bot lane setup, let's go back to this replay. So the TP comes through, a really nice stun comes through from Breathe, and then the attention turns onto Crisp. I like this focus from LNG. The problem is, look at 2 tower shots onto Zucker. They get the snipe onto Crisp, but now with the mini Gnar, Breathe and Tarzan can look for the re-engage. Now, you could argue this is a bit of an overcommitment, because at this point, you know, they could disengage, they could prioritize getting the bot farm, but hell, you know what? The kills go over to Hung and Weiwei, which are not the worst targets in the world for Weibo.
And guess what? Your extra 2 levels on Breathe are going to be massive for Weibo. Let's remind you of the regionals, where Zuka actually really outperformed Breathe. You know, Zuka had an amazing regionals, in that 3-0 for LNG, but setting up Breathe here was such a big experience advantage, and especially on a Gnar that is going to scale really nicely into side lanes and to be able to team fight quite well with this Weibo comp. I just think the experience gain here for Weibo is going to be massive.
And Zucker's just so screwed. He doesn't even have flash. He's level 2, 5 minutes into the game with 2 CS. He is going to be able to get to the tower now. I say that, Light and Tarzan immediately stop him. What are you going to do? This is a very sad Crocodilian, and he's falling for the first time this game. It is huge, second time in fact, as LNG just can't find a way to get that Croc out of deep water.
Weibo are dominating in this early game. They will zone Breathe away from the bot tower. You will be denied those farms, but it doesn't matter. On the top side of the map, Weibo is finding advantages. Crucially though, let's keep track of the gold. The advantages are really being built between the top laners. Sure, Zucker is extremely far behind, but Gala getting those plates, still keeping him even in gold alongside Light.
And you also look towards the mid lane, which was, you know, one of our focused matchups here with so much history between Xiaohu and Scout. And Xiaohu on the Orianna is absolutely pumping here.
Yep.
Constant pressure in mid lane, being able to shove in these waves. Very, very nice for an Orianna, and especially Weibo with the amount of scaling options that they do have.
He's having a whale of time in the mid lane right now. He's got those Ionian boots of lucidity as well. Looks like LNG are going to move up towards the Grubs. We see the reset coming out from Gala. Hung just walking his way up through the mid lane as well. Both these teams do like to fight around these Grubs. We saw it in the LPL and a little bit here at Worlds so far. And with Light being in the bot lane and only just starting to move up, I feel at least the first couple of these are going in LNG's pocket.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the LNG have too much of a numbers advantage. The waves are too good, but they're actually pulling off them. They've gotten the first Grub. Breathe is about 50% HP.
Breathe is getting locked up here. Doesn't have time to flash away. LNG collapse and find a kill on the Gnar.
A great engage from Hung. The flash stun into the stacked wave means that he's going to lose that entire farm. And LNG find another kill. They've guaranteed numbers advantage. But now Light has made his way up. He's so close to level 6.
Second Grub's definitely going to go over to LNG. Hex flash forward by Hong, trying to get onto Tarzan, who'll stun him against the wall. The dive in with a grand entrance. Zika trying to heal himself back up in the middle of the fight. Gala joining in as well. The knockback on Hong towards the top side, but it's not going to be enough from Weibo so far, and now Light is overextended. Zucker slicing and dicing his way through. The charm connects and Light is down alongside him. Tarzan falls. LNG absolutely trouncing Weibo at the Grubs.
Yeah, LNG are fighting their way out of a rough early game, and they're not done.
Scout with another charm, this time onto Crispy, get caught up with that deadly flourish. And LNG will be able to walk out. 2 Grubs to them and 2 kills to boot.
So hugely beneficial for LNG. As you said, you know, Hung didn't hesitate, went straight for Breathe after that pick, gaining so much. I mean, they didn't clean all of the Grubs, but still grabbing 2 out of the first pack is quite nice.
I am shocked that Weibo still tried to fight that.
Are you ready? It's Weibo.
No, I'm not. We did kind of expect this. They love to fight for these Grubs, and even at a numbers disadvantage, look, they try to force this, and LNG rightly attack the weak side. There's only 2 members. They don't actually do that much damage initially. Flash away comes in from Weiwei. Hung then forced to disengage, but then this overstep. You noticed it in the fight, Medic. We have to highlight it again.
As well.
Easy collapse comes in from LNG. Scout with a beautiful charm connect. And it means that LNG find that initial kill, and they get enough Grubs. That's what matters.
Gonna go a long way towards evening up those experience advantages that Weibo had been able to manufacture for themselves in the opener of the game. I mean, it's still rough for Zika.
Yeah. Zika's going to struggle, I think, for a while, but Gala has started to even out the gold, at least, that he was falling behind. Like, he just got his 200th kill on the world stage with that kill in this game. He's the 23rd player to do that.
Yeah, and actually, Light here is also level 7 now, so maybe not going to do a lot for the experience. Weibo will see if they can still use those advantages, because they are pushing in both top lane and bottom lane here with Light, with Breathe, and Tarzan takes that opportunity to go for some jungle invades here, trying to put that Nocturne a little bit further behind.
I think part of the risk now for Weibo, though, is that Weiwei is level 6. That paranoia is a looming threat at any moment, right? If you go for a dive, not only will Weiwei be able to join the battle, but also you have to deal with the darkness that comes out. So we'll see how aggressive Weibo want to be. When Tarzan gets the upper hand over any jungler, he loves to go in for these invades.
I will say also, since Weiwei is level 6 on Nocturne, Light used both summoners in the last fight walking up to Grubs. So he could easily get Nocturne ulted. They have to back off here. Good positioning from the Weibo bottom lane. They know they are very vulnerable, and Nocturne with ult ready would just love an Ashe target.
Breathe, finds an engage on Zucker.
Easy, no, Breathe just 1v1s him. We talked about how it would be a struggle for Zucker. Well, we see it coming up here for Breathe.
That's a lane swap diff right there, if I've ever seen one, and Breathe capitalizes on it. See if the rest of LNG can try and get...
There's the darkness. Immediately they jump in with the paranoia. Hung's on the flank as well. They wait for the flash. Shattering strike. The chase continues. And Xiaohu is down. Now the curtain's open. And maybe we'll close on Weibo in this game one. LNG have been winning every fight so far. Weibo trying to get away. Crisp with a good knock-up. The chase continues as Hung looks for another shadowing strike. But he's the one turned onto by Weibo. Magnus Storm the charm again onto light, but no follow-up through LNG. One back in the pocket for Weibo, and they'll look for more as Weiwei has no flash. But it looks like in the end, both teams will disengage.
Yeah, LNG, they actually opted to go for the kills there instead of Dragon. They left the Dragon with about 700 HP, so Tarzan was able to pick up that Dragon. And while they did chase down one kill, it's still one back for Weibo in the aftermath as well. So Weibo actually coming out with Dragon +1.
You'll see the engage come through. Keep your eyes on Weiwei. He spots out Xiaohu, Hung with the Hex Flash over the wall to help lock him down, Scout with the ulti to help follow up, and this is the idea behind the composition, right? Great single target lockdown, and Weibo say, okay, Xiaohu, good luck, we're just gonna get the Dragon and we'll take that trade. But then LNG overextend, and ultimately, this is the beauty of this matchup. Both of these teams are eager to fight, they're eager to get something back after they lose something, and it results in these chaotic situations where we're 5 to 6 in kills 11 minutes in.
It's also first game of our quarterfinal stage. You know, we moved to Paris, there's excitement in the air, and they are scrapping. LNG, of course, in that chase, the big downfall was splitting up and having two on each side of the big wall there, so an overstep indeed, Vedius.
Credit to Weiwei, so far he's been involved in every single kill that LNG have been able to find on the map. He's gotten a small gold advantage, but Tarzan's been able to close that gap as he's going to secure the last grub. It looks like we're not going to be getting full grubs this game.
I think LNG do need to try and look for a play here with Weiwei and Scout. Both of them kind of peaking right now. Once you get your Stride Breaker plus your Ludens complete, the Nocturne Ori combo is very, very dangerous. You pointed out how they were able to take down Xiaohu at the Dragon fight, and Xiaohu actually flashed there too. So the Orion is definitely a repeat target for LNG. They want to keep on scrapping, get more and more kills here in the mid-game so they can actually use that gold.
We see Light throwing out the ultimate there as well. Gala had no cleanse, and around the corner, Crisp was waiting to collapse that. Enchanted Crystal Arrow, only about 90 seconds cooldown at this point, so assuming there's no objective up for the next 90 seconds, doesn't really matter if you throw it out like that. As you can see, Rift held in exactly a minute 30, so they will have that back up for the next team fight.
The downside for LNG is that Zucker is just useless in this game. He has been put so far behind. In terms of gold, you can see he's only about 500 down, but the bigger problem is the experience disadvantage. A full 2 levels down is going to be massive as we get closer to, in particular, those level 13s where you have 2 skills maxed out and these mid-game team fights.
And Vedius, this hits perfectly on a conversation that people were having after the regional finals where Weibo did not get much time at all to prepare for their full best of 5 versus LNG, so they made sure to prepare this time around with the lane swap and actually making such a big difference here with the experience advantage. So I guess, everyone who was talking about that conversation after regionals, it does look quite a bit different when you have a lot more time to focus on a single opponent here.
I think the question always was, how big a grain of salt does that series need to be taken with, right? And it seems like it's a bit more than a pinch, but less than a mountain, as that's a very big grain of salt, a mountain. That's, very large.
I mean, it's such a fascinating history where in the best of 5s and
Looking for Breathe here. We'll jump away, then flash away from the fear. The Stride Breaker slow is on him, but the collapse begins from Weibo, and LNG will back away.
The problem is that ulti will now not be available for Herald or Dragon. Weibo, looking at the mini-map, Xiaohu is Xiaohu is going bot lane to match Zucker. He does have the TP available. And again, we've already learned this from the Grubs. If you are new to these teams, they're eager to fight for these objectives, and both junglers have set their sights on it.
Xiaohu does have that TP coming and catching the wave in the bot side. Zucker no TP on that Renekton, so we'd have to run all the way across. LNG giving up area, giving up ground in this river right now, knowing they can't really take the fight because it could become a 5v4.
Yeah, and LNG generally more methodical with their play too, so this does kind of make sense. You know, Dragon coming up in 25 seconds as well. I mean, Hung is still going to like fish around, and they do have Scout coming over towards his control ward, but since you see Nocturne already committing to bottom, it does seem to be the trade. And I do think that is the more like LNG style play. Get the tower gold down here, really try and play off of the cross map play.
It's a guaranteed tower and likely the Drake in exchange for a possible tower from the Rift Herald charge. Obviously, mid lane tower has been seen to have a little bit more value than a bot tier 1, but we'll see how well Weibo actually use that Rift Herald later on.
And the guaranteed tower, they definitely need that gold. You mentioned, you know, Renekton can use every little bit he can get, but looks like Tarzan coming down here to check you on Dragon. Ash Arrow is available, by the way, so you really do have to respect it. Once Weibo get vision.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with LNG is they've actually overstacked on the top side of the map to try and protect that tier 1. While they were able to secure the first tower of the game, which gave a big influx of gold over to Zucker, you're now just abandoning this Dragon as well, allowing Weibo to go 2 dragons up. They've been... Oh, Crisp.
Crisp looking for that backline, going in with the quickness is feared, caught with the deadly flourish as well, but can just walk out. It's to safety. We talked about Crisp's creativeness from time to time, and I think we saw it there.
And when you do see that, and oftentimes you'll see Crisp either just get chunked out or sometimes get caught out altogether, you have to remember that he's going really deep there to get some of this deep vision. And oftentimes he does go by himself, so it's kind of risky, but you know, with the rest of the team there, that one didn't have a lot of risk to it. We mentioned the Ash Arrow is ready, there's a lot of follow-up ready, and so maybe that extra vision deep through the jungle will pay off later, because Weibo, with the comp that they've drafted this time around, you gotta believe they are so confident in their 5-on-5 as we progress, dealing with LNG, who are a lot pick-oriented. You know, some very focused damage on LNG. That's why the Weibo game plan, I think, was so well thought out.
They shocked us with it. Weibo!
Weibo? Surprise!
The focus for both teams now becomes on these adder towers. With the Herald available for Weibo, they have plenty of options. It looks like they're setting their sights on the top line, which makes a lot of sense to me given its HP. They also have the ability to push through top and either commit the Herald top to play for a tier 2, or bring that pressure from top down into mid and then try and use it there. Meanwhile, Zucker is keeping that push down on towards the bot side of the map. Breathe, while in the 1v1, should be able to win, is conscious of the fact that he's playing on the weak side, so he has to be defensive. A nice charm comes through from Scout.
TP behind as well as LNG looking for the flank here. Hong's on his way across. You can see Gala trying to work his way across here as well. Zucker with that TP, counter TP used. LNG will start to back away. They see the reinforcements arriving for Weibo, and in the end, just a TP for TP exchange.
Breathe again. Got to be a little bit careful here. Is going to turn mini soon. When he turns mini, would be the opportunity, but I don't think they've forgotten Zika was on the top side, and so just going to be that rotation over towards mid.
I like the adaptation here from Weibo. LNG committed a TP to really not any effect, and Weibo are able to hold that top side of the map while also being able to put pressure down in mid. Tarzan now may have caught out Zucker.
Edge of his stop coming out. There's the Impale as well. Zucker has to try and slice his way out. Will burn the flash as well. The chase could have continued from Weibo.
But that's likely going to be a guaranteed top tower now, so they got good damage down onto mid lane. They'll eventually get that top tower, and once again, Zucker is denied. Crucially, Scout is keeping the push in towards bot. Zhao is going to go and match that, but the rest of LNG are there to support him.
Yeah, LNG have to keep trying to play split.
Arrow. Oh, this could bait. Xiaohu might go a little bit too far because the arrow's hit, but the defenses are here for LNG. In the end, Xiaohu didn't overextend. Charm going down as well. It was a good arrow from Light, but really not much occurring from it.
The Merc Tread's offering a lot of value there in that situation.
Still some worries here for LNG as they try and scramble, they try and make some cross map, they try and make some split plays, constantly looking for areas that they can pick people off with. But Weibo moving up here pretty methodically themselves. You see opposite side of the jungle taken over, and the flash that was blown on Zika will have huge repercussions for the side laning potential for the next 5 minutes of this game. Already Breathe had been set up for success in this game. Already he had made his way very early on to the Trinity Force, and if you give him flash advantage, it does become very difficult for LNG, and LNG have to play off of like this Nocturne threat for all of their side lane plays, and you have to look for the possibilities of those trailing split push.
Yeah.
The only problem for LNG is that they also don't have teleports to pull those off with, so you have to commit a lot of resources when you're looking for one of those plays.
And we talked about it a little bit in draft, right? Orianna isn't the best in a split push position, especially when you have something like the Nocturne that can jump on you. But because Xiaohu knows Breathe can survive in a 2v1 for long enough, he can just play further back. He doesn't have to be applying too much pressure on the map because he knows Breathe is going to do that for him on the top side.
One of the things we talked about was Crisp's mobility on the Rakan, and you'll notice it again on the minimap, trying to clear out this bot side vision. While there is still very deep ward coverage from LNG, it provides a bit of extra safety. Xiaohu, though, choosing not to overextend. Whereas Scout, with full confidence, knowing he sees the entire Weibo's bot side jungle, constantly catching that wave, pushing in, and keeping this pressure up, ready to contest the third dragon.
That's very much what we expected between these two teams. The LPL number 3 and number 4 seed, 8 and 8 across the course of the year against each other, and it's always close. Like, you can never really tell who's going to win. I think coming into this series, most people were saying LNG's world form is slightly better, but we haven't seen them play in 12 days. They went 4-0 and just qualified to the quarterfinals. Weibo have given us a little bit more tape, but these two teams have battled so many times across the course of the year. I think everyone knew it was likely to be a 50-50.
I like what Weibo are doing right now. You know, they're utilizing that breathe advantage on top side to get chunks on tower and control the jungle between them and mid lane. You saw just Chris earlier on your screen keeping these wards up here so they can continue to control the rotation path.
The tiniest window where Zuka's TP will be up and Breathes will not. Scout's about to go back to base. We do have the Hex Gates to speed his passage back towards the river, but he might go towards the top side. They have a control ward around that red. You could look for a fight against Breathe and give up the third Drake, but it is sole point for Weibo if you do that.
And I really want to highlight Light. Light has such great potential in this game, and he's been so good for Weibo all summer long. He's got 2 items here with his Phantom Dancer on top of the Kraken Slayer. Pretty big advantage versus the Jhin that's just on the last Whisper and pieces. So just the Static Shiv. I mean, we've seen some Static Shivs do work at Worlds. Jackie Love definitely kind of inspiring people with that one, but I think it would have to be a bit of a dream for LNG if they could actually pull a fight like that off, because Weibo are set up so nicely here. Double control wards, controlling the entry. Such a very solid front line for them to play off of, and they can just group on Dragon, no problem.
LNG looking for an engage. Scout on the flank is still being tracked. Dragon will quickly reset. Zuka continuing to push in the top side of the map, has the TP available.
Xiaohu just putting the ball down. They go in with the arrow immediately. They dive onto Hung, and he is down. Breed looks for more, but Gala has to flash the wall, but Chris can continue to chase. He gets the blast cone. Gala knocked back. Wallop just short. The paranoia out from Weiwei. So he tries to buy a second for his AD carry to escape. Scout on the flank doesn't hit the charm, but Xiaohu falls to the curtain call. Now Scout getting chased down towards the bottom side of the map. Breed still going in, needs a couple more autos, can't quite get them. Weiwei turns his attention across to the wolves, but really he's just looking for a way back to the mid lane. The chase continues. Light goes in, flash impale. TP behind us now. Weibo might be flanked. Gala looking for a little bit more. Scout coming back in with the teleport of his own. Zuka onto the back line. Targets Light first. Light flashes away. Zuka flash follows him. And now Breathes running for the hills. The engage onto Tarzan. LNG somehow turn the fight around.
LNG grabbing the extra kills, and are they going to head towards mid lane tower? They only have 1 minion, so hovering around Baron. I mean, they don't have great Baron damage. It's an exciting couple of kills here, but the objective still went to Weibo, getting themselves to soul points, and you don't have DPS for a big Baron rush, so it's just going to stop at that for LNG.
Weibo overcommitted on the play. They got an initial pick, they had easy access onto the Dragon, but then they decide to chase so deep that LNG could convert it into multiple small skirmishes where Zuka could then finally find a good TP.
And specifically, I think Xiaohu got a little too hype. Xiaohu split from the rest of the Weibo members that were chasing and did not respect the Nocturne turning back around. The original pick, amazing here for Weibo, and then Breathe is able to use the Hex Gate to force Gala's flash and continue to pressure them. But here, Xiaohu goes forward into the 2 members, and with Nocturne ult on, you see Breathe back up here, and it actually allowed LNG to have multiple members flanking. That Nocturne ultimate power there actually causing Weibo a bit of trouble. And then you saw the teleports coming back out, and they chain an extra couple.
And Zuka, he might be weak, but if you've got nothing left, he's just going to run you down. Having free access to push out that top side allowed him to secure Starak, giving him that additional durability and helping LNG clean up the fight.
That's the key right there, Betty. No longer weak after you get that extra gold on the top side, allowing him to get to his 2-item power spike and kind of run through here. So we're keeping it exciting. Gold lead back the way of LNG, but still the objectives for Weibo.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because based on how this game has been going, you shouldn't. Oh, Arrow.
Arrow onto Hung once again. Doesn't have the flash to escape. Charmed up, knocked into the wall. Weibo dives on the back line. The Paranoia is doing so much work, and in the face of darkness, there is no light. Scout gets the kill. It's a double for him. Double impale coming out, but Scout still has 2 charges of the Spirit Boss. Sergeant gets 1 in response. LNG trying to turn this fight in their favors, and they'll do exactly that. So far, it's a 3-for-1 exchange. Xiaohu and Bree trying to do everything they can. No flash for the Gnar, but he does have that ultimate in a second. He's going to go Mega and try to chase down Hung. Shadowing Strike into the crash down. Breathe won't get anything more out of the battle.
This is the brawl we expected from the brothers of the LPL. Scout is such a phenomenal Ahri player, finding the angle onto the backside. You'll notice the engage comes through from Weibo. They think that they've caught out Hung. He's not allowed to be here. The knockup comes through. There's the Ash Arrow. Keep track of Scout though on the right side, using the coverage of the darkness. Forces Light into an awkward position. He gets chunked out by Weiwei. And then the rest of the fight ends up Tarzan trying to salvage it.
Also, on the mini-map, you'll see Zuka comes up first. The Renekton is able to rotate over first. Because of that Nocturne ultimate that you mentioned, when the lights were turned out, there was no teleport from Breathe early, and so then you have to wait the whole duration of that Nocturne ultimate. He could not join with his teleport, and the Gnar, who had been a very big factor, actually walks over, and everybody's already dead.
The big thing for Weibo, though, is LNG have kind of won the last 2 fights. They're still only 2,000 gold ahead. They haven't picked up a Baron. They haven't even taken the mid-tier 1. Weibo are on sole point. All it takes for Weibo is 1 good fight and you feel like the game's over. For LNG, all the fighting seems to be happening a little bit mismatched with when you can actually take these objectives, or they're losing a couple too many men to be actually able to take anything off the back of it.
The problem for Weibo is that they can't find these good fights. So far, they haven't really been able to find that big wombo combo engage. They're finding picks here and there, but once you commit all of your damage onto a single target, you kind of run out of steam very quickly, and in the re-engage and the skirmishes, LNG really do thrive. Look at the bottom of your screen. The Renekton, who is 2 levels down, 600 gold down, pretty much the entire game, is now up. He's still only, well, he's a level behind now, but it's much better than what it was. And Scout is 4-0-4 on the Ahri.
The Baron is very dark for LNG, though, here. Weibo, see how many resources they can get out of them. There's still a Scryers available on Gala. So LNG just going to push mid and then rotate over to this dragon 7 seconds away from the Hextech Soul arrival. And Weibo, they're just going to force on Baron instead. They will trade away 1 dragon. They don't want the soul right now. They'll take the pushing power.
I mean, they're not even going to lose the dragon, because LNG are trying to take the fight around the Baron, but that Baron's going to be gone before they can really begin it. The Paranoia comes out. TP is being invested as well by LNG. Quickness. The charm going on to Weiwei as well as he dived in with that Paranoia, but Ishtar's impact is enough to get Tarzan out. LNG might turn now towards the dragon, but they wanted the fight first.
What are LNG doing? The Baron was dark for so long, and then they, as you say, they didn't even finish the dragon that they were on. Now they're going to rotate over to it, but with the Baron-empowered recalls, look at the tempo available to Weibo. They have both solo laners pushing top. The tower's going to die while you're now picking up your dragon, and Weibo are going to push this one through.
Zuka has the teleport. He'll stay in the pit and can base, but could teleport if that push continued for Weibo on the top side. They'll just take the tier 2. They'll get the gold back in their favor, and with this Red Bull Baron power play already pressing towards that 3,000 mark, Weibo have so much gold standing on the map. A tier 2 in mid lane, a tier 1, tier 2 in bot lane as well. They can take so much away from LNG in the next 2 minutes' time.
Great awareness from Weibo, committing the TP, leveraging the Fog of War, ironically using the darkness against the Nocturne team to their advantage. Weibo are able to secure the Baron. They concede the dragon for now, but they equalize the gold once more and put themselves in the driving position as they set the sights on the bot tier 1.
All right, LNG, can they find an area to get any sort of pick? because Weibo's team fight is so structured and so tanky here. Tarzan on triple items on his Skarner with Orianna shields coming through. Like if Weibo just group up and use their Baron to push in, they'll be able to collect, as you say, so much extra gold off the map.
Yeah, for LNG, it almost feels like a twofold play, right? You know, go in with the paranoia, burn light, splash, and then next time you have it up, you can actually get some kills off the back of it. Weibo aren't giving you that twofold play. They're not having anyone isolated in mid lane right now. 5 members pushing strong down towards this bottom side. Crisp just hanging out of the back, making sure they have vision behind them and then can always jump forward with the quickness. Weibo extending their lead. It is only 1,000 gold, but it has swung in their favor over the last couple of minutes.
I mean, this has probably been one of the closest games we've had at Worlds, with the gold so quickly switching back and forth between the two teams. Weibo continuing their siege as Tarzan looks for a pick, but LNG are able to disengage. The arrow connects, but I don't think there's much follow-up here.
It's fine. It's like a 75-second cooldown right now. Just using it to see perhaps if you could catch someone out. Weibo, there's 3 cannon minions in this
siege is working.
The siege is incredible. They'll break open the base of LNG, who are still looking for some sort of flank position. Hong is in the river. He's a mile away. He's basically in Spain with how far he's away from the rest of his team right now, looking for that flank. He's going to be marked, though, by Tarzan, and Hung will realize he doesn't really have a way in here. Weiwei, though, does, with the paranoia, diving onto the backline, but there's no damage to follow him up. Zuka trying to dive in and get the damage down onto Breathe, who somehow still survives. Zuka down! Weibo collapse! It's 4-0 in favor of Weibo.
See what else they can get here. Gala is still alive, but he's got to run for his base right now. He's got 1 bullet and a dream, and I don't think that's going to be enough to fend off Weibo.
That was the big team fight that Weibo was looking for. Tarzan flashes in. Gala runs for his life.
He's just slammed into the wall. The cleanse will do nothing for him at all, apart from perhaps cleanse his mind of this game. Weibo in control. They'll go 1-0 up over LNG.
An incredible back and forth. Great demonstrations from both sides, but it was the Baron call from Weibo that cemented them game 1.
Little bit of a revenge here for Weibo for the regional finals. Really like the draft plus lane swap combination.
Very much agree with you. We'll be back in just a few moments with game 2 of this banger series. Don't you dare go anywhere.
And if you're wondering why I move the way I do, I just feel so good, good, good. I just feel so good, good. I just feel so good.
数不清有多少个这样的时刻，闪现向前，焦灼，欢呼，沮丧，再来。没什么比这一刻更好。
so ugly inside. I see right through all your lies. I'm not like one of your kind. I'm a misfit, I'm a rebel, don't fit your description. I never settle, fight back with resistance. Pedal to the metal, we're setting fire to the system, yeah. With my hands tied. Start up the riot. Start a riot. Start a riot. La la la, feel it, ignite it. Light it up, light it up. Light it up, it's going down. We're gonna burn it to the ground. So rock, start up the riot. It's about to get ugly out here.
LNG thinking about the dive. Reed dives back in. The damage going down onto Christmas. He's made with dash away. Suppressed on Gala will lock him up onto the tower. Zucker slicing and dicing his way through. The charm connects and Light is down alongside him. Easy enough. Reed just 1v1s him. We talked about how it would be a struggle for Zucker. Well, we see it coming up here for Breed. In and get the damage down onto Breed, who somehow still survives. Zucker down. Weibo collapse. It's 4 for naught in favor of Weibo.
And I don't think that's going to be enough to fend off Weibo.
That's a good point, Kobe. In our battle of the LPL, it is Weibo that comes out on top. And it was so interesting because going from kind of the beginning, the draft, into the lane swap, this is the correct team that won off those moves. As we see here in our HyperX Reflex replay, Weibo secured the Baron also after getting picked off a few times to get back in there.
Some of their decisions of when to fight weren't great, but the objective control was the big difference maker, because this game got a little messy, but getting to a very early soul point makes it so hard to play out for LNG.
Yeah, and even when they were looking for a flank in this fight, you see they had vision on Hung coming around. Tarzan's able to get him, and there's the Orianna shockwave going off. There's not a lot for this Nocturne to kind of combo off of, and you know, Weibo, like you said, they might have chosen some poor fights in this game, given some
Look at that goal grab, a little up and down.
In the goal grab. This is an LPL game. But the big standouts for me are Breathe on this Gnar and the way that Weibo set up the map. We talked about how LNG don't like to be disturbed early. What is this?
What are you doing?
Oh, this is the story of the game. It's Weibo carrying Xiaohu.
Oh!
Yeah, you may have thought I was being a Xiaohu homer, but I was not.
Yeah, that's, I gotta go front up on that one.
Was he being carried or was he doing exactly what he needed to do? His Gnar was super fed, and we actually requested some stats for Breathe on Gnar specifically, Jat, because The guy's insane.
It's been such a power pick for Weibo every time he's been on Gnar, and this game was no different. So he's now 5-0 at the tournament, and on average, he is up 18.4 CS at 14. It was even higher in this game, in small part and maybe in large part to the lane swap.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing that I really want to highlight for Breathe is that his Gnar timings are really, really good. And he even had one super early on when we talk about this lane swap that Weibo were able to set up. I think when he does end up TPing into the bot side to get that wallop off under the turret, that's huge. His Gnar timings have been good. His laning has been good. He did almost a third of his team's damage share in that last game, so he's also just doing a ton of damage, and he's a big part of how they can set up these fights.
Yeah, you mentioned the lane swap, and Weibo really got ahead there. Emily, do you want to kind of break down what they did correctly? It started all with that early dive.
Well, yeah, we're going to look at two cross-map plays here as we play out this bot dive that I was just talking about. Breathe is going to come in, get that 3-man stun right here, and then you're also going to watch Crisp, where he's going to be able to come around and get out even though he dies on the back side of it. The big thing for me is that, again, Breathe is able to come in. This lane swap had already set him up in a really good spot above Zuka's Renekton. I think one of the things that the lane swap did was really take Zuka out of the game early to the point where he was getting solo killed by Breathe on the top side, and then we see them being able to set up this kill right onto him here.
Oh, every top laner knows this moment, right? Because he got TP'd back to top, then got chunked out by Light, and it's like, okay, surely I could walk back to lane. And Tarzan on this Skarner, right place in the right time.
And I think the important part here is when you're playing Gnar into Renekton, the biggest time Renekton has threat is around levels 4 and 5. But when the Gnar is level 5, when Renekton is level 2, that threat completely goes away. So then he can just take over the game.
And it was interesting to see because there were a couple of things I think went wrong for Weibo in those mid-game skirmishes where LNG came on ahead. Their Gnar wasn't there, but you could already see how strong the Renekton was at that point in time in the game, even with being put behind. Oh, breaking news. LNG choose blue side. That'll be the very first time here at Worlds that they're on the blue side.
And it's very warranted because I do think that even as someone, you know, I think Weibo is going to end up winning this series. That first draft, Tarzan got probably the best jungler in the tournament. Breathe got to play as Gnar again. I don't think either of those two things are going to be true in the next draft.
Xiao, who got to play?
Oh, yeah, he did. He got to play Orianna. And the other curious thing on the side of LNG, you know, now that we kind of have a better understanding of the meta on that red side, you do have to ban both the Aurora and the Yone and remove them. I also think it was kind of curious to me because Vi was up. And that would have partnered really well with the Ahri, right? And then maybe we could have seen a little bit more early action from LNG specifically. So I am absolutely curious to see what they bring out on the blue side because we haven't seen them there yet.
And I also don't want people to misconstrue LNG having their first blue side game. It's the first time they've been able to choose their side.
Yes. Yeah.
And they prefer blue.
Yeah.
Because, as Emily just pointed out, the Aurora and Yone are likely required bans. My surprise meta breaker of the quarterfinals I thought was going to be Sylas. So did Weibo. They just blue side banned it against LNG. So that's the type of stuff that will be open to LNG this time if Weibo actually decides to ban Aurora Yone because they will be losing so many valuable ban slots.
Another thing, we talked about it at the top of the day as well, but this is the first game that LNG played in a long time. And I, unfortunately for you, got to cast my mind back to the KT versus JDG series last year.
Why are you doing this?
Well, because that's a similar thing that happened. I think as the series progressed, we really saw JDG get back to the form that was expected of them coming in. And after game one, I don't feel confident enough to say that the same thing won't happen with LNG. Because even this game, again, was quite close. I think Scout in particular had a great performance on that Ahri. If only he had a vibe with him to go dive instead of that Nocturne.
And I think you saw what we set up in the beginning, right? How well these two teams know each other. Weibo playing the map bidder, choosing some rough fights where LNG could get ahead due to their talent. We'll see what they do in game 2.
Yeah, I mean, LNG's warmed up now, guys. It's going to be completely different. Let's head over to our casters.
Welcome back to Worlds 2024 quarterfinals where Weibo are one game ahead of LNG. I'm still Medic, that's still Kobe, that's still Vedi over there. Now, we have been informed over the break that some people were confused by a pronunciation of Zucker's name. Now, we listened to the LPL English broadcast, and it was pronounced Zucker on the LPL English broadcast, but we have seen some people saying that in Chinese, it's actually pronounced more with an I, Zicker. So I think, for clarity's sake, we're going to go with Zicker for this game, and we'll continue with that for the rest of the series. This Champion Select is powered by Omen and HyperX, and we are right into Game 2.
By popular demand,
Yes.
Zika! All right, Kalista banned out again for the bot lane prio, and again, the Rumble's still here. Let's see if there is a big shift after the opener for game number 1. I don't think there's going to be another one of those surprises. Skarner taken off as well, so we're already going to get some shifting.
Rumble ban remaining the same on the side of Weibo. You've got to remember that on red side, typically, it is Aurora plus Yone. Now Weibo, the fact that they have an insta-lock though suggests that they're contemplating whether they want to put their plan into effect. And the answer is, yes they do. Nico, going to remain on the ban table, the Renekton taken away as well. This does mean that Scout will be getting his hands on either Aurora or Yone. The question is what the priority will be.
Expect Weibo to leave them both up here. Maybe get rid of the... you don't even really need to get rid of Nocturne because he only works well in conjunction with that Orianna. Weibo taking a little bit of time to think over their final ban with the Renekton, Skarner, and Kalista having been removed. There is the Ziggs taken away. Where will LNG go first? Is it Aurora or is it Yone?
I think the Yone, if you're looking at precedent for the entire tournament up until now, that has been the preference. And Scout did have quite a good game on the Yone. Xiaohu, meanwhile, definitely seemed like we can prefer the Aurora on the side for Weibo. Honestly, there's just so much potential when you get a first pick Yone. Sejuani, for me, jumps up really high in priority. So I would expect LNG on their next 2 picks to look for something like that, because you always want to complement your melee solo laners with a jungler like that. Weibo will be expecting this, and they opt to take away some of the laning power of the Ashe. So it kind of is actually playing out as expected, given the 2 power picks traded.
Oh, instant lock-in from LNG. That is a strong topside. We've seen this topside multiple times so far in this tournament.
Yes, we have.
And Weibo, they'll need to round things out with a strong jungler. If they want to, they could also answer with top by locking in your AD carry, the Cassante. Yeah, I love Breath's Cassante. I think it is one of his best performing champions. And I think into the matchup, we've seen that matchup go both ways pretty consistently throughout this tournament.
I will say LNG's composition lacking a little bit in magic damage, and with the Ziggs already banned out, you're not going to be able to find it too easily from the bot lane role. Yone does do mixed damage. He does have some magic damage in his kit, so it will be, a small bit, a helping of it, but not as much magic damage as if you had a Lilio or something in the jungle.
Yeah, especially since we do expect the bottom lane to be kind of straightforward and go for the engaged support for Hung. And Gala, there's no way Gala's getting his hands on either the Ziggs or the Kai'Sa, as the Kai'Sa also has those AP options to try and shore up what you're talking about, Medic, and plays so well off of the all-in. So these are the really expected bans. I guess you get a little bit of leeway on the last one there from Weibo. Meanwhile, you don't want to play multiple melees for LNG into a Braum, and you're looking at avoiding some of these defensive options. The Poppy as well pops up again, as there's a lot of dashes available, so something to think about as a possible ban.
I like the Rakan. I think that Rakan has been returning here at Worlds as a great backline engaged support just because of its sheer mobility and roam potential. And removing that one away from Hung does make a lot of sense. Now for LNG, how do they want to round things out? I am concerned about what AP options they have. You talked about the Poppy, Kobe. They are going to look to take that one away. Weibo now, they should just look to lock in a jungler. Maybe they consider the Vi if they want a little bit more lockdown. They could also consider something like, well, I was going to say the Maokai, but I don't love the idea of Maokai plus Aurora as a mid-jungle duo. It depends if they feel like they want more utility or if they want a little bit more engaged. They could also just go for the Nocturne once more.
Or Nidalee, Vedius.
I mean,
they could always go for Nidalee. Instead, Amumu is going to be brought out. There's some engage. Yeah, the other Maokai.
More AoE, more circles here. Really, really strong team fight. You have Aurora to be able to make really big picks and Amumu to lock them in place. When you're playing against melee front-loaded early 3 picks shown by LNG, I like the reactions here from Weibo, actually. Really good AoE control versus double melee solo laner carries.
We've seen many teams throughout Worlds propose strategies for shutting down the Yone. We'll see if Weibo's works out this time.
So I also have a preference towards the Amumu, because Amumu was very popular in LCS really early on, you know, in our playoffs, and of course was shown at Worlds here as well. That was one thing that FlyQuest actually were able to do. You know, they killed the Yone a couple times. Of course, they lost the game and the Yone was still OP, but they did kill the Yone a couple times with the lockdown from it.
See what Weibo decide to round out their composition with here. We have Gala on a very safe AD carry in that Ezreal, Leona as well for a bit more engage. And if you want to disengage, who better than Renata Glask to do that for you?
Yeah, putting Gala on the most mobile of AD carries here when they know that there's going to be a lot of counter engage drafted on the side of Weibo does make a lot of sense. And Renata, again, that ultimate just goes with the theme of the Aurora and with the Amumu here. Very excited here for game number 2. Game number 1 seemed like both teams were very antsy here. And the planning from Weibo definitely had paid off.
Weibo Gaming, once again, going for a team fight composition with a bit of disengage thanks to the Renata, but a similar approach to what we saw in game 1. LNG, once again, looking to try and play through those side lanes. Last game, it was more about finding those picks, those opportunities. This time around, really looking to try and use split push pressure, isolated 1v1s, the early skirmishes, to be able to gain advantages and then create those collapse with potential numbers. LNG, I think, are the more macro-focused team in contrast to Weibo. But we'll see if they can execute it this time around, because in those final fights, that Baron call caught them completely off guard in game 1. And really, that was the nail in the coffin to allow Weibo to secure it.
Yeah, Weibo got the advantage in the lane swaps, got the advantage in controlling objectives as well. And I will also say, since Xiaohu did play this matchup versus DK, he's obviously very, very comfortable with it. And Weibo are very comfortable as a team giving over the Yone a second time here in trade for this Aurora that they have already shown to be so successful.
As we get on to the Rift in game 2, the score now 9-8 in Weibo's favor across the course of the year. We'll see if LNG can even out that score once again. Scout on Yone. Not much more really needs to be said. 7-1-7 last time he played it here at Worlds against BLG, no less. And here,
for those that don't remember that game, his Yone found some incredible engages. Within that game, I think he found 2 multi-man ultis that really set up for the Rumble ultimate to just do so much devastation. He's a proficient Yone player domestically, and he's proven it internationally. But here in the early game, Yone is not much of a champ. He doesn't offer much, he's not that strong of a duelist, and he's getting bullied out of his jungle by Light and Crisp. We're looking to get a bit of information. Now, you would expect LNG to look for the lane swap, because this bot lane 2 versus 2 is horrible to play against, and it looks like that swap will come through for LNG.
And Weibo do have the defensive wards up on the top side of the map, so they saw the Jax already. Now they're seeing the rest of them funnel through mid on full vision. Tarzan is here though with Breathe. Fight over the chickens. They are outnumbered.
They are very much outnumbered. 4v2 right now. Hung trying to get towards that mid lane, maybe looking for the flank on Xiaohu, and just jump away. The chase is on though. There's the Zenith Blade into the Q3 knockup from Scout. Ignite is ticking on Xiaohu. Chris coming in for the flank because he might look for a bit of a handshake instead. He's got that shield. Heal comes out as well. They try and turn it onto Scout, who flashes away just in time to survive.
A very positive trade for LNG gets turned on its head thanks to the arrival of Crisp. This could have done so much to alleviate the early game pressure onto Scout, but it is he who loses his flash and already burning his pot.
Yeah, now Xiaohu, who's comfortable in the matchup, has the extra support here too. Just bullying Scout under tower, continuing to throw out skill shots. No flash on the Yone. Complete control here. Nice stuff, and you see the transition from Tarzan. He'll be slightly slower, but it shouldn't affect the outcome here. Honestly, if you're looking too at the experience level for the supports, Hung only got a tiny sliver of experience through mid lane. So if they opt to go for that defense, then it is going to be a little bit risky for them. But you see Weiwei also recalling and Jungle coming out to try and defend as well. Looks like they're going to go for a similar play.
TP is coming through. Hung only level 1 as you highlighted.
Yeah, Weiwei's on
the
his way. Zika now underneath the towers. Almost 2 plates gone down. Tarzan trying to get these Krugs for level 3. Still sitting only at 2 himself.
Ultimately, I think a good swap for LNG. They're able to funnel a lot of farm onto Zika. And Hung not really punished for the fact that he's on level 1 because Crisp also losing a lot of experience means that he doesn't have that handshake to set up any CC for the team. Breathe, meanwhile, going to go catch top, and ultimately a pretty stock standard even trade for both sides.
I will say that it ended up hurting Tarzan a lot, the delay at the beginning of the lane swap, and him just kind of waiting and watching by chickens. Because Tarzan now theoretically doesn't have anywhere except for his blue buff to go farm. He just goes back and get his level 3, but now he wants to make a play.
Chris flashes away. Zika does have a flash of his own. The handshake flashed away from Tarzan, trying to get in with the bandage shots, but he's going to be stunned up with the shield of Daybreak. Tries to flash the Zenith Blade, but can't escape it. First blood to LNG, and they're looking for more. Chris has no way out. He's put in the dirt by Zika.
The lane swap's on the other foot now. LNG are getting big advantages out of it. There's no camps left there for Tarzan. The level 3 Amumu, an easy target. Weiwei slides in on the Sejuani, and LNG have taken control. Now Light, even under pressure, does have flash and has to use it.
Just a great punish across the board from LNG. I mean, we think about what Weibo tried to do there. The flash commit from Crisp. You talked about it in the previous game, Kobe. He's a player that has high highs and low lows, and that was an ambitious play that got turned on its head. Great collapse from Weiwei. The Sejuani passive getting a lot of value when paired up alongside the Leona and the Jax. And LNG walk away with 2 kills and a 1.2k gold lead.
And let's see what Tarzan wants to do with the extra vision that they had on Weiwei, because Weiwei makes the play on bottom side and stays down there for a long time. We'll see when we get back to live, though. Here's another look at how it started.
Being forced to flash away. Tarzan with a flash to try and sidestep the Zenith Blade. Doesn't quite work out for him. And of course, Crisp had already committed his flash, so it ends up allowing Zika to collapse onto him and get a kill. You're talking about junglers. We see Tarzan pathing back towards his top side. As they have respawned now, at the very least, he will have those camps available.
Yeah, so it looks like he dropped off that ward right there that you see by blue buff during the timing that he had. And then went back for second spawn of the Krugs and is just going to continue to reverse clear there.
Interesting pathing from Crisp and Light. They actually started opening up towards the bottom side of the map, and when they hit the tier 3 there, they've immediately sprinted up towards top to match Gala and Hung. I thought when they pathed down bot side initially, they were just going to give up these first set of grubs, but it looks like they might actually want to challenge for them.
Looks like it. I mean, Ashe this early on is pretty strong. Xiaohu's ultimate's going to offer a huge amount of value as well. The trades back and forth in the mid lane. The wave is in favor of Scout right now. Level 6 for Xiaohu.
Look at where Zika is.
One thing I would say that's very rough for Weibo, though, is that Amumu with no flash is such a vulnerable target in the game. You have no inherent escapes yourself. You have to use an opponent to try and bandage toss away from. And so you become almost a liability at early Grubs fights if the early skirmish goes against you. And so Tarzan's like, you know what? I want no part of this. Yeah. I'm just a lonely Amumu with no flash, and they do not want to contest at all.
And look at LNG. They don't waste any time either. Backs from all 3 carries. Zika, Scout, and Gala all at the same time. And how do they reassign the lanes? Well, of course, Scout goes back to mid. They send Gala to bot, and they're going to have Zika try and catch what's left of that wave, while also interrupting the base of Light. This gives LNG an opportunity to set up for the Dragon earlier. And sure, while some farm will be lost, LNG is now in a better position to push out this bot wave, get control over mids, and Zika now hitting level 6. I expect his TP to be available should a Dragon start off as well. So LNG making those smart map movements here, ready for the first Dragon contest.
Usually when you see a team get those first 3 grubs, they are giving up the Dragon. It's a net neutral play. You're trading neutral for neutral. But here, because they get that push early, because they were able to stop Light on the reset, LNG can set up in the river first.
Well, crucially, it's also because Weibo tried to match on the top side, right? Knowing that that bot side ended up delaying their recalls has given LNG so much time. And look at Tarzan's positioning. On the top side of the map, he's not in a position to contest. So LNG in full control of these early objectives.
Yeah, again, I think that is the correct call for him. Just play opposite side again. He's a bit of a liability at the moment. Weiwei is so close to level 6. Will get level 6 off of the Dragon. Sejuani with ult advantage and flash advantage way too much power.
Tarzan, though, getting collapsed on.
Scout's going in for this. Tarzan doesn't have the flash yet, has the curse of the Sad Mummy, but can't get away from the counter-strike. The chase goes in as well, and maybe his fate is sealed, but the knock into the wall, into the all-out will pull Scout back. It's not quite enough damage, and Zika takes the kill on Tarzan. In the end, LNG get one.
Ah, the Lonely Mummy, no flash, is eaten up here by the solo laners, and now Zika with double buffs.
Man, Breathe is not going to have a good time in that lane for the next while. Gala surviving by himself on this bot side, has a CS lead, an XP lead over Light as well. Crisp has to burn the heal because Weiwei's on the chase, as is Hung. Flash Glacial Prison, it's cleansed away. The arrow goes onto Hung as well, but he can flash. Zenith Blade, dodge, Light's movement. Absolutely light on his feet there as he escapes the oncoming storm.
Light showcased his movement in the first game, sidestepping charms, doing what he could to navigate that dive, and he demonstrates it once again in game 2. Able to circumvent that gank from LNG, committed the flash from Weiwei, the ultimate as well. Still though, LNG with a kill lead, a gold lead, an objective lead, a good play from Light, but it's not enough to really bring Weibo back here in the early game.
Certainly not. You know, maybe they can make a play off of the next Amumu ult for Tarzan when he does have his flash ready, and they can try and get some gold back into themselves, because if the game keeps going this way, it's going to be so hard for Weibo to control those side lanes with the early advantage on the Jax and on the Sejuani. Trying to keep pace there will be rough.
LNG again making the proactive map movements. They've been rotating this bot lane, ready for the upcoming objective. And look, 45 seconds on the Grubs. Zika is bot. You've got Gala and Hung top. They're already able to get that push in. And while Scout is bleeding a lot of farm in terms of gold, he's still in a very comfortable position. So LNG once again setting themselves up nicely to try and secure 6 Grubs.
All right, let's see if Tarzan with Amumu ult ready, with flash ready, will come for an explosive second Grub fight. Heading over, he'll go straight here through Raptors and head into it. Honestly, I'm looking forward to this one a lot. It's going to determine a lot of the mid game.
No first items. Apart from that, Zeke's convergence for Weiwei has the Glacial Prison coming up in 5 seconds time as well. Hung still only level 5. Not going to crest 6 before the fight begins if the Grubs have started on spawn. Xiaohu has that huge ultimate that between worlds can control so much space in a fight in the river like this, but LNG are the ones to start up the Grubs, and they're going to have 4 before Weibo even Breathe in their direction. And Breathe has no TP, he'll just be fighting Zika down towards the bottom side. Tarzan looking for a steal, but Gala's putting down the pain. Mystic shot just wide there on Crisp, he'll look to hit another. Hung takes the 5th, and LNG might even just secure 6 Grubs as Weibo. They might as well have bought a ticket and some popcorn. All they've done is watch.
They watched, and I don't think they like what they saw there.
There's the arrow. Hits onto Weiwei. Glacial Prison going down as well. Crisp has the hostile takeover, but they can't get enraged, and the flash bandage toss does not connect for Tarzan. Weibo waited too long and still couldn't find the fight.
They watched, and then they whiffed Vedius. That is so rough for Vedius. We were thinking this second Grub fight is going to determine a lot of the mid game. Well, it's been determined that LNG are going to have massive split push advantage with 6 Grubs.
I don't think they were expecting the movie that they were watching to turn into a tragedy. The loss of Flash from Tarzan is definitely going to hurt him. You've been talking so much, Kobe, about how crucial that Summoner spell is to setting up for these engages. And LNG's composition is very much about playing through these sides. And look at them at the bottom of your screen. A 1k gold lead for Zika. In the jungle, advantages being gained for Weiwei. And again, while Scout is a little bit behind, the important thing to remember about Yone is that's a good place for him to be in. As long as he's not dramatically far behind. If he's going even with you, then he's gonna become a problem.
Yono's great from behind. It's the whole nothing personal kid, teleports behind you, slices you out. That's Yone's kind of bread and butter, right? With the fate sealed. For now, though, LNG in such a commanding position in this game. You can see Scout getting chunked out a little bit. Has himself a bit of magic resist, likely going up towards a wit's end eventually on the Yone. For now, just those Zerkers. Usually you want the Blade of the Ruin King into Stride Breaker combination. Before that, not as strong as you'd like to be.
And Zika on this Jax is just going to get further and further ahead. You look at top lane right now, he's crashing another wave into tower. He even has time to get turret plate money. The Trinity Force Jax just slams that thing, mining gold for free.
With 6 Grubs as well.
LNG are just running rings around Weibo.
Yep.
We've been seeing it from the start of the game. After they got that advantage in the lane swap, Weibo have just constantly been playing catch-up. That's a tower secured. Breathe can't do anything to force Zika off it. He doesn't have any support, but it's fine. He has the ward to get away to safety. Meanwhile, on the bottom side of the map, LNG have set up for the Dragon again. Just fantastic macro coming in from LNG. Their map control is flawless. Scout trading in mid as well to make sure that they have some control over that wave. Now, Crisp and Light have been able to get the push, and they have access here to the Dragon.
Yeah, Tarzan's there as well, has the curse of the sad mummy. You can see Xiaohu trying to join up with the team. Solar player going down. Immediately they dive into Tarzan. There's the hostile takeover. Xiaohu can try and jump across the wall here. Tarzan falling low. Xiaohu diving in. Tarzan gets brought back with the bailout. And what a good fight this could be for Weibo as Chris flashes away from Scout. Xiaohu trying to put the damage down. Tarzan still sticking on the Drake. Gala can dive forward though. Just needs to land these Mystic shots. He'll get the resets. He looks for another one to Light. Can't quite find it. Tarzan with a smite, 3 HP short, but still secure it in the end. Weibo found something out of nothing.
Can Gala keep chasing here? Tarzan is a little bit trapped.
Well, he's in the jungle, and that's where Tarzan likes to be.
Too bad.
But I don't think he's going to escape from that tree. That's Gala and Hung. Tarzan will dive forward, delay his death for a second, but Gala will get his second of the game.
I mean, it was LNG to initiate the fight. As a jungle support, they engage onto Tarzan, but he's able to weather that engage. Scout's follow-up comes through very late because of the ultimate that comes through from Aurora. He's trying to stack up his Q. He ends up getting hit by the Renata ultimate, and now he can't really follow up. Flashes in, connects with the banana combo, meaning he doesn't hit onto anyone. And then Scout trying his best to follow up, can't really get much. Now Gala is able to get 2 kills, but given how far behind Weibo are, they get the Dragon, they get 2 kills, and Weibo keeping game 2 interesting.
So connecting with the banana means you don't connect.
Correct.
Yeah.
Got it. Oh man, the bailout there did so much to give Weibo some hope, but LNG, they're unperturbed by that Dragon going over. They're right back to business here, right back to the objectives, and they're burning down the Rift Trail. Tarzan does show up again, but they're going to continue to focus on this Amumu. It's a Conqueror Amumu. Definitely a viable target to rush on the front line, try and burn him down. And the last one, though, unable to get the extra advantage.
I mean, the Leandri's priority is very common. We've seen a lot on moves, but it does leave you in a window where you are very squishy, very vulnerable, as you've highlighted, right? So LNG, they may choose in the upcoming fights to prioritize him, but alternatively, they can just continue to play the map. You can see 3 components completed for the Blade of the Ruin King for Scout. He is just a bit of gold away from securing that item, and it's really that very crucial spike for Yone where he becomes this monster in a side lane.
Yeah, and guess what? Jax is already a monster in the side lane because Zika is rich.
It's going to be very difficult to deal with Zika. Breathe TPing down towards the bottom side to try and catch this wave. Still a 3,000 gold lead for LNG, and although their plans of world domination in terms of taking that Dragon Soul have been delayed by 5 minutes at least, it is a Mountain Soul for them if they can get it. And we'll see if they can in the next 2.5 minutes. As a note, Gala has just passed death as the 6th place all-time kill leader at Riot Internationals with 493 kills across the course of his career. We've yet to see a Penta here at Worlds, and Gala, known for one of his best, the Gala moment. It was on Kai'Sa, but maybe he can show us something on Ezreal here today.
Yeah, we'll see if he can fight Jax for last hits.
Scout, you can already see he's getting favorable trades against Breathe. Hung is there to provide cover. And just you look at the mini-map and it feels so overwhelmingly in LNG's favor. They've got push in top, they have control over mid, the bot wave is well supported, and they're setting their sights on this bot tier 1. Weibo, though, want to keep it alive with investing resources of their own, but what does that mean on the rest of the map? It's Zika continuing to push in the top wave. Xiaohu should be able to wave clear for now, but that pressure is only going to continue to mount as they turn their attention to mids.
Oh, what a cleanse from Light. Captain jacking that one, he'll get out. Only has to burn the one summoner, didn't have a second one, so it's good that that was all he needed to escape that precarious situation. True shot barrage just wide there from Gala, was blind into the forest.
It does translate some pressure from topside there. You see Jax kind of leaning down a little bit. It's a nice little rotation from LNG, just in case, you know, Weibo tried to do something crazy there. Weibo, don't actually overextend, don't try and do anything crazy. And regardless, it is going to be the Rift Herald in mid and tower down another objective here for LNG. They can just rotate on over.
Zika's going to catch Xiaohu on this movement to the side. They dive back in, though, with the Between Worlds, and now Zika is on the wrong side of dodge. He still gets one with a lamppost, but his life is forfeit, shot down to light.
A 1-for-1 as Zika, he hesitates, he disengages, he flashes into the fog of war to create space, but he was just waiting for the cooldowns to re-engage onto Xiaohu and finding a kill. Now, ultimately, that's not going to result in a huge amount, but the damage was done as LNG unlock another tower. The resets will come through, and the gold lead continues to mount in LNG's favor.
I'm going to be honest, I think that's pretty beneficial for Weibo. They'd already lost the mid lane tower. Light didn't burn flash, Xiaohu didn't burn flash, Zika did burn flash. In the end, he's just giving them a bounty for a kill, which is more gold in Light's pocket. He's looking to catch Xiaohu here and like assassinate him before anyone can respond. But as soon as he burns the flash, to me, it's a net negative play.
I mean, yeah, I think that's a fair argument. 500 gold into Light's pocket is going to be valuable. The problem is, will it be valuable enough?
Yeah.
As the Dragon is started off once more by LNG, they conceded the previous one. Let's see if Weibo can find another good fight here.
They're looking for it. Tarzan stepping into the darkness. Hung and Gala guarding. The arrow goes down, hits Gala. He'll cleanse. Buffered the arcane shift away at the right moment as well. Zika's in the top lane, does have the TP, has a few wards that he could get to, but no real flanking positions, and because of that, LNG will not be able to fight their way back into the river. Weibo will get their second Drake of the game. TP from Breathe to the top lane to match the push from Zika.
And they still have mid lane priority here. They're trying to force them off.
Hung goes in. Tarzan dives forward as well with the Curse of the Sand Mummy between worlds. Now Hung doesn't have a way out. Hostile takeover. Hits on two on the back line. Zika's trying to join up with his team as LNG begin to hail the retreat. Light continues to rain arrows into the back of Weiwei, and he's a damn porcupine. Xiaohu takes the kill. LNG walking home wounded.
It's Weibo clawing their way back into this one. They make use of their pick, the Aurora and a Mumu combo there to take down an extra couple of kills, and they do invest the teleport from Breathe, as you mentioned, so they will be down a little bit in the side lanes, which is going to be very annoying, as Zika also just completed another item here, so the Jax 2-item power spike plus teleport advantage will just rule the side lanes, but Weibo giving themselves a bit of hope.
I think that Weibo navigated that Dragon setup beautifully. The fact that they stacked as 5, forced LNG away, and then converted it into a team fight. The TP response into top lane to create a 4 versus 4. LNG tried to collapse onto Xiaohu, he gets a good flash, but this is the combo that Kobe's been talking about. A Mumu plus Aurora, it's circles on circles, and LNG don't have a way to respond. Weiwei has no flash available to him, so the chase from the Ashe comes through. And while the bandage toss doesn't connect, it doesn't matter, because Weibo are demonstrating to LNG, we have the team fight power, you have to respect it.
Props to Xiaohu in that for using his own body as bait there, then jumps over, then jumps back, uses the flash, pulls in the Leona to separate and allow Weibo to get their picks, really creating something here out of not a lot.
You can see the win probability powered by AWS starting to swing a little bit towards Weibo. Still very much in LNG's favor. They still have a 3,000 gold lead that's going to be extended as they start to take some more of these towers.
And the Dragons are very important for Weibo because they want to be able to get these big AoE fights, in their advantage. It's going to be really hard to keep LNG from pulling them apart across the map.
I will say that Zika going for the Sunlit Sky instead of the Sterax is going to hurt his team fight power. It's going to reduce his durability in these fights, and it's very much a build tailored towards the side lane pressure, which means that the problem LNG find themselves with, if they'd gotten the second Drake, they could have conceded 3 and 4 in order to leverage their side lane pressure, but Weibo have found ways to manage LNG on the side lanes for now. They're buying more time to scale up, get those crucial items, and you can see Xiaohu very close to completing his second now, which will put them in a great spot as we get closer and closer to Baron being a main point of contention.
I think importantly, Breathe is on his way there as well. Already has the Iceborne Gauntlet going up towards that Thornmail. He's 2k in the hole, but in terms of items, we'll be at parity pretty soon with this Jax. If he can get that Thornmail online, and tanks as they get later on, yes, extra tanky items are helpful. It's nice to have 4 instead of 3, but after 2, you're really pretty tanky for the rest of the game.
Meanwhile, you see Scout there investing in the QSS to deal with the Amumu, to deal with Ashe Arrows. So much CC on the side of Weibo. Definitely will get some value there.
But it delays him on 1.3k gold. Right now he is already 600 gold ahead, basically 600 gold behind if he doesn't get use out of that QSS in the middle of a fight. Weibo setting up towards the top side. They have the vision control around the Baron right now. Next Drake up in a minute's time would be soul point for Weibo if they can secure it. And if they can keep those Mountain Drakes out of LNG's hands as well, it makes their team fight so much easier.
Scout being a bit cheeky as he fishes for a blue buff, but chooses wisely not to overstay his welcome, recognizing that he was spotted on that blue trinket. Gonna go back to catching bot wave, top wave being pushed in by Zika once more. And again, it's kind of a story of this game with LNG consistently pushing in these side lanes, creating these constant points of pressure that Weibo have to answer for. But the pressure hasn't been enough to stop Weibo approaching the objectives. Sure, it may have cost them some gold here and there, but those tier 2 towers remain. And it's important to remember that Weibo has a lot of standing gold. A single good fight can very quickly swing the gold back in their favor, just because the number of towers that are available for them to take.
I mean, they haven't taken one yet, Benny.
Exactly.
So there's quite a few available.
That's what I mean.
Yep.
Maximum standing gold.
It's so true. Breathe looking for a turret up towards the top side. T coming in as well from Weibo. They will invest to make sure this top tier 1 is cracked. Their first tower of the game is broken.
The blue pings from LNG onto the Baron, they're cautious of it.
So all of they're going in. TP behind now as Hung is the first one to be caught out. Tarzan went in with the curse of the Sand Migala trying to go forward as well. He'll cleanse away. The hostile takeover finds one life brought back from the dead. As the dive goes in for Zika. He'll find another Crisp and Breathe. Try to survive underneath the tower. Xiaohu looking for that flank position. The dive goes in from Breathe. He isolates Weiwei, but Gala and Scout are still chasing him forward. Up towards the top side. Xiaohu's being fought off by Zika. A kill for Breathe. He gets one. The shutdown, but Zika starts to collapse. And Breathe doesn't have a way out of here. LNG find the bite.
Light went right into the face of the Cassante there, immediately regretting it. And LNG, it had been a very good response though, because they saw the teleport top for Xiaohu committing to take the turret, and so they force mid instead. In the end, they will be rewarded with the extra dragon here, and we just keep splitting dragons and keep pushing out the timeline for that Dragon Soul.
I think this is an overforce from Weibo. 2 versus 3 is the initiation. The ultimate from Amumu is good, but it's crucial that you have the Aurora there as well. So much of your damage is unavailable. Crisp doing his best to keep his AD carry alive, but Zika finds purchase onto the backline. And with the arrival of Scout, it ends up becoming a one-sided affair. Breathe does what he can, and Gala was not expecting this damage. Yeah, that Breed with a great performance at the end there, but Weibo, they fall short on the fight, and LNG find themselves another dragon.
Oof, even with the Sejuani ult going to the side, still used his cleanse there as well. That one you could tell. The blood was boiling and the tension so high there. Both teams kind of screaming to make the reaction play. That was the chain reaction that came off of the commitment to get top tower gold.
And this is also why so many love to watch Gala. In that play, he did not E backwards, he went in. He says, we have numbers advantage, we have the damage, we're gonna win. He knew the limitations of his champion, and sure, he did get Cassante, as many have before him, but aside from that, he had a near flawless team fight. Incredible stuff from him.
Aside from getting an Iceborne in the face.
Yeah.
For the moment though, LNG get a bit more control over the game. It's 2 Drakes apiece, but now a 4,000 gold lead for the number 3 seed from the LPL. Scout, he's not been quiet this game, but hasn't been as explosive as, you know, Zika, who has those 4 kills on the Jax. We'll see how effective he can be in the next battle, because this Yone still is spaghetti. He's come online. You know, he has the Stride Breaker and the Blade of the Ruin King. This is where he really shines as a champion, and when you have the side lane threat that LNG do, the expectation is that Scout will be one of the key pressure points for this team.
Certainly will. The Baron vision looking to be denied as LNG sweep through. There is that ward deep into LNG's jungle that the observers highlighted for us. Weibo have TPs unavailable right now, but they're going to be off cooldown soon. You can see Breathe trying to match Zika on the bot side, both close to level 16. Valuable levels as they get that final point in that ultimate. But Weibo with a lot of tools to keep track of the potential Baron start.
A decent chunk of Zika's gold lead is invested in his Seeker's Arm Guard for the use in a team fight. So on the side lane, not as abusive as you might think, looking at the 1.7 thousand gold lead that he does have individually, and really looking for that possible play for you know, the drawn fight over towards the Baron once they're able to get their side lanes pushing try and put some pressure onto Weibo. But Weibo feeling pretty comfortable with both their teleports ready, being able to catch the waves and respond. They have multiple ways to check vision on Baron. They have 2 Scryers, plus they have the Hawk Shot from Ashe. So they should not, get caught leading up to this Baron.
I mean, they've been able to sneak their way back in and get that bit pockets of vision, as you highlighted. And Dragon now in 1 minute 45. A valuable Dragon for both sides, but the threat of the Baron is something that both teams have to take into consideration. We enter a bit of a tense state as both teams just fish for opportunities. They're making sure that vision is well controlled, information is crucial, as that deep ward from Weibo has now dissipated. No TP flank available, but items are being completed. That Bloodthirster just finished for Light, a valuable defensive tool.
Breathe just finishes Jack's show as well for that side lane. Xiaohu has a Seekers and a needlessly large rod, just base though, so about 1,000 gold short probably of completing his Zhonyas. But the AD carry sitting at 3 items apiece too. Really feels like everything hinges on this next fight. Will it be a Drake for Baron exchange, or will both these teams succumb to their bloodthirsty ways and decide it's just a 5v5 in that bot side river?
If there's a Drake for Baron trade, I think whoever got the Drake side of that is going to really regret accepting that trade. So I think the contest here definitely has the chance to be very explosive.
You'll notice every now and then Scout starting off the Baron, partially to charge up his Q, but also to just add that extra bit of pressure onto Weibo, saying, hey, you need to come check this. There's always the threat of us starting it. And Weibo, arrow not connecting onto Gala, did of course have the cleanse available. They were hoping to burn that from him.
Part of that is you don't have a very big window there as Weibo. You've already brought both your top laner and your mid laner towards a mid lane play, and LNG was still pushing out the side lane. So you have to pull the trigger there with the arrow, otherwise you're going to start bleeding out on the side lane. Scout has pushed in top, Xiaohu is going to work his way up there now.
But notice how Scout was zoning Xiaohu away from that wave as well, really suffocating them slowly but surely of those farm, of that golden experience. Scout now soon ticking over to level 17, but the silent pressure paying off as LNG secured the Dragon and contested.
Yeah, take the easy objective.
Here are the pings, ping, 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 ping. Is it Baron o'clock for Weibo, Kobe?
No.
Okay.
Definitely not. A little bit too risky to pin yourself all inside of the pit at the moment right now, I feel like. And so this is just Dragon number 3, Soul Point. So not like the game-breaking one that you want to throw everything out right now quite yet. I will say, nicely done from LNG to kind of manufacture that objective with only having to give up some time around the Baron for vision coverage. As well, too, decent job collecting, even though Weibo are getting pushed in. It was still a cannon wave, and Xiaohu gets back just in time. He still gets the cannon, still gets the majority of the resources here. So Weibo are just trying to carefully still collect as we build towards the really big game-breaking team fight that now is going to be forced, because now we're going to be really pulled across the map with the Baron for the Soul trade in 4 minutes time, because Mountain Soul is such a massive, massive benefit when you're facing so much extra damage and AoE on the opponent team.
We're also getting close to a point that we discussed in draft, which is LNG don't have a huge amount of AP. Sure, there's Jax with AP, there's Yone with his AP on his passive, but no truly committed AP threat means that Randuin's gains a lot of value, and the armor stacking is beginning to come through from Weibo. You can even see a cloth armor picked up for Crisp on support. This armor's only going to get... Oh, way.
Solar Flare, Crisp, caught up immediately. Mikhail's from him. Had his finger on the trigger and pulled it, and escapes. The ultimate coming out from that glacial prison.
Are they pinging? They are pinging.
There's lots of pinging happening, but it seems like they're pinging the Baron this time, Betty. Weibo going to start it up. It's what won them game 1. Can it do the same in game 2? Gala dashing forward with the Arcane Shift. TP coming in from Zika. Will Weibo turn the fight, or will they stick on towards that Baron. Breathe on the front line, stunned up. Weiwei brought back the Baron down to 4,000 HP as LNG start to enter the pit. This is their zone to control, and Weibo trying to fight back. Hostile takeover, arrow onto the back line as well. The Baron down to 1,400. Breathe kills off Weiwei. The smite comes in from Weibo, and LNG walked into their own demise. Zeka pulled back as well. He'll fall. What a fight from Weibo, and once again, it's the Baron that does it all.
Weibo choose their moment wisely. They draw LNG in, they get the smite on the Baron, and they get the team fight.
A phenomenal Baron execution once again from Weibo. Patience was crucial there, but Sejuani committing the ultimate onto Crisp at the start of the fight was the go trigger. Once that was gone, a lot of the initiation from LNG is reliant onto Hung, and when they start it, it doesn't go the way they want.
Look at how Weibo are drawing them in, getting the Baron so low. And as a jungler, I am just panicking, freaking out right now, because they're both in here. Look how close it is. Back spikes go off.
And the Aurora ultimate was huge, keeping Weiwei out of the pit, shutting him down. Amumu doesn't drop. LNG don't have the damage. And Gala does a great ultimate to chip away at their HP bars, but 0 fall, 2 die, and a Baron is secured for Weibo.
That was so cool. Like they drew them back in, baiting with the low health Baron. Then the Renata ult comes all the way through. The Aurora ult comes all the way through, and they get to throw down and show why in Champion Select when they gave over and they saw triple melee top side of the map. They invested in all of this team fight AoE. Now Weibo with the biggest objective they could possibly gain, the Baron buff, allowing them to take so many towers.
And you can already see the gold swing. We talked about standing objectives on the map from this Red Bull Baron power play. They already have 3.6k, and they are looking to add on top of that piles of gold for them. 4 items on Light, 4 on Breathe, 2, almost 4 for Xiaohu. And LNG, how are you going to defend? Scouts off in the top lane, he's doing reconnaissance, but I think his army needs him back at base right now because the base is beginning to be broken by Weibo. Inhibitor tower in the bot lane has fallen. Scout, you're going to come back, mate. You're going to join up with your team. The tier 2 in the mid lane's gone down as well, and Weibo continued the advance. Scout, perhaps you need new instructions from your admirals, because right now your Nexus is falling, and all you're getting is an inhibitor tower. Now Scout TPs the Nexus tower, the second one. The target, Curse of the Sand Mummy onto Zika on the backline. He's going to pull the sword as well. Between worlds go LNG. The pullback by Breathe, and Hung is hung out to dry by LNG. Zika dives in, a great counter strike. The re-engage coming out. Gala untouched. It's all on Gala alongside Weiwei and Zika to really turn this one around. LNG holding on to hope, but Gala's down to the twofold hex. And Weibo, only Zhao who survives, but they've broken the base open.
LNG hold the Nexus. They're able to mount an effective defense while also securing the inhibitor in the top lane.
I guess it worked. The instructions were good.
Guys, Sola's on the map. So on live right now, Sola's on the map, and they have extra members there for LNG. There's so much potential. But here's a look at the force. They teleport in Breathe, and then Scout, as you say, is going to teleport on the last Nexus turret. Look at how much room Zika creates on the backside. It's a solo person Amumu ultimate. He arm guards, jumps back out, and then goes for the re-engage. A huge counter strike for him. Gets 2 of them and just chunks down everyone. Even though Weiwei actually collects the last hits on a lot of these, it is very big. I want to see how LNG, how much they can push as we get back to live with the dragon arriving, the mounted dragon on the map. A critical defense though.
Yeah, I doubted the orders from the general, but Scout and him were on the same page. The soul secured for LNG, as you say. A critical defense from the siege of Weibo. Now Mountain Soul in the pockets of LNG, the gold even. LNG still in an advantage with that soul. But Weibo have broken open the base towards the bottom side. Inhibitors will respawn 30 seconds apart. Weibo's will be 30 seconds later.
Once again, LNG versus Weibo delivers. We thought that with the Baron secured, that was game, set, and match for Weibo. They were going to go to match point, but LNG showcasing that they can still punish you for your oversteps. And now with the soul, these fights are going to get a lot more interesting.
That was so sick. We have this Baron fight where Weibo draw them in. They win the team fight. They get the Baron, but then forcing at the Nexus turrets, and it's LNG that end up with the Dragon Soul, the Mountain Soul, which goes such a long way when dealing with this Amumu and Aurora combination and so much of this AoE front load damage. Now I feel like for Weibo, it's going to be, the next team fight is going to be significantly more difficult. I think that might have been the key for LNG.
I chuckle because I noticed Xiaohu with the Mej Eyes. 10 stacks with the book. That's how he's going to round out his speed. We're 37 minutes into the game, and he has ambitiously gone himself the Mej Eyes. I mean, we're approaching the final fight soon enough. Baron is spawning in 40 seconds.
I mean, it's actually mega efficient power with 10 stacks.
I mean, sure,
it's cost efficient at this point, with the movement speed coming out from it, as well as you highlighted, Kobe. So probably picked up a Dark Seal and was like, hell, why not? Might as well. He's looking for that final item. Mej Eyes fits that slot well. LNG stepping in to this red side jungle. Scout looking for Xiaohu. Can't quite find him. The red buff, the first target. Tarzan smites early. Meanwhile, in the bot side, Reed is fighting off Zika. 5 items on the Cassante is making hard work for that Jax to work through. With no Baron for LNG. 6 seconds before it spawns, quite hard to actually siege in here. The defense from Weibo strong enough. The Baron starts up though by Scout and Weiwei. Will Weibo face into the darkness? Hung is there, he's spotted. The Hawk shot gives Weibo vision. Charter Crystal Arrow only onto Hung. Bandage toss for the chase. Goes to the stab, onto the back line. And Hung is almost dead before the fight really begins. Tarzan falling low as well. Between worlds we go. But Zika's found the back line once again. Breed trying to peel for Xiaohu and for Crisp. But already we see Weibo collapsing. Zika doing so much work. Now it's on Crisp. And Xiaohu, Zika will flash away. The reset coming out from Scout because he can TP back into the play. Breed trying to survive for as long as possible. Zika doesn't go back in with the counter strike. Gala's doing everything he can to get Breed down, but he can't quite fell. The Cassante.
A close fight, but it's ultimately won by LNG. They have the members to reset back out onto the map. Scout quickly catches bot wave, and LNG will look to secure the Baron. A well-played fight with so many resources invested onto Hung. Weibo couldn't find the fight that they were looking for.
Scout doing a lot of work there, coming in on the Yone, and in the end, with the extra power of the Mountain Soul, it is LNG who win this time around, and they're the ones that get to march on your base wearing purple.
It's not usually that you can see immediately a Soul have an impact like this, but I do agree with you, Kobe. I think the Mountain Soul really spelled the difference.
And it starts out, Weibo, they see this opportunity to get the double Amumu ultimate on Hong and Gala, but then it's all turned around in an instant.
Scout and Zika, the solo laners of LNG, find an angle onto Light with no flash and shut him down immediately. Weibo do what they can to try and turn it around, chasing onto Xiaohu. You're seeing how dangerous it really is, but it doesn't matter. The Baron is secured. Ultimately, though, I question whether this Baron is enough. I feel like we're going to go to the Elder, gentlemen, as we approach the 40-minute mark.
I am ready and willing to go to an Elder fight, Vedius. This one is a banger. All right, 4-1 split push here with the added power of the Baron buff. Top inhibitor is exposed, but LNG want to concentrate on mid/bottom here. Double cannons buffed up, slowly whittling away at the tower.
You might as well, right? You can always walk in towards that inhibitor on the top side. You don't need the Baron buff minions to do that right now. LNG pushing in. Light has his flashback up, so can try and defend against Zika. They slowly clearing the wave in the mid lane. Zika's looking to sync up a wave at some point. Now the minions pushing on towards the bot side. Scout diving in. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow is going through the uprights. 3 points for that, but not much more. The cannon minion continues to rain down. Gala's going to use the Void Might spawning from those 6 grubs they secured earlier to tank up the tower for him. Zika will take the mid lane inhibitor tower. The bot lane inhibitor tower very low still. Weibo don't really have an easy engage without a Mumu's flash and with that arrow down.
Yeah, I mean, I underestimated the siege power of LNG with the poke coming out from Gala and with the Grubs as well acting as extra minions to allow more time to hit onto those towers. Good damage was done, and while they don't secure an inhibitor, they still get what they were after. The base is in tatters for the side of Weibo. Inhibitors, though, all intact across the board, and with the Elder spawning in 15 seconds, this will be the fight that decides it.
Yeah, Weibo are just gonna have to full send on this one. It is difficult because Scout has the QSS, has had it for a very long time. Gala, with the cleanse very safe on the back line, is able to keep range. So I don't know how Weibo are gonna do it this time around, but they're crafting something right now, working their way through the jungle up towards Elder.
Tarzan just walking into the pit, TP coming in, Zika looking for that flank, has the GA, Xiao takes a Mystic Shot and takes a quarter of his health. Breathe is on the flank here, Glacial Prism going on to Tarzan, he goes back in with a bandage toss, Zika's still flanking and Tarzan is left to his own devices here, he dashes back, Curse of the Sand Mummy onto Zika, but he's got to stop watching the GA to bring him back to life. Redemption coming out, Tarzan having to run away between worlds though, Zika continues to dive forward and light is extinguished. LNG continue their advance, Xiaohu and Breathe trying to survive through it all, but Gala just will not let them. Gala dives in with the Arcane Shift and Breathe breathes his last. Earlier on this game, it was Breathe who came out on top on the Wolves. This time, Gala has his vengeance. Scout will chase down Xiaohu, and Xiaohu might escape for a second. I'm pretty sure Zika and Hung will chase him down.
The battlefield has been a bloody affair, but it is LNG that come out on top. A fantastic final fight with an incredible Zhonya's from Zika was enough to cement them the fight, cement them game 2, and equalize the series.
Banger! We're gonna even it up here, Medic!
Are you not entertained? This is the LPL versus the LPL, and I'm ready for 3 more.
All right, we get another Yone for Aurora trade. And honestly, it was pretty close there. Weibo had some really, really big openings, specifically after the first Baron fight. But the defense was good for LNG on their Nexus, and then they never let him sleep.
I'm just happy that it's close, Kobe. I'm happy it's back and forth. We'll be right back right after this.
This is necessary.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Here we go again, man, I'm on another one. Don't wait up for me, man, I'm on another run. Yeah, I hear the streets calling. I cannot ignore it. Walking on the border, feel the devil on my shoulder.
5 games of this, but I want to look at this game where LNG comes out on top, and there is a theme here. It is either a master class or a disaster class in economics, depending on the team you are, and it starts from the draft. The trade-off for meme, I could very well be it, because it starts with the Yone and the Aurora, right? The trade,
Okay.
that's the first one. So where do we land there?
I mean, I think as we pull up like the full look at the game, I think the big thing is LNG on blue side decide, okay, we are going to end up doing this Yone Aurora trade, right? And when that happens, you have Weibo, who have pulled out a few of these Aurora comps before, and Scout on Yone, a champion that he is super comfortable on. And I mean, looking at, like, first of all, you can see the dip in the gold graph where Weibo ends up taking over right here. But the big thing I do want to point out with what happened in this early game is that LNG were actually able to get onto early objectives a lot more quickly. And then they were also able in a lot of these team fights to really set up for Gala to be able to do damage on this Ezreal. Was not the cleanest game. One of my friends about Weibo last year said they snatched victory from the jaws of defeat, their own jaws.
Well,
and I feel like that applies to LNG in this game.
It's so much more painful because they take a big gamble, right? They give an insanely strong top side.
Yep.
And it actually ends up working out. Like, I think they make a couple of big early game mistakes that set them far behind. But then they get the team fight that you draft the comp for. You're basically in a position to win the game. And they still lose!
Yeah, we were in the room watching the game with the OTP casters, and okay, you speak a little bit of French, but one of them said, 15 minutes de split push pour cette merde.
Yeah.
What does that relate to in terms of the trade deal?
So I don't speak French.
He said 15 minutes of split
Yeah.
push for this
BS. Expletive
This is
deleted.
referring
Yeah.
to Weibo getting Baron eventually and getting back in this game, chat.
It was. I mean, do we have the actual Baron play? Because I
You-
do think it was good for Weibo to actually pull this off.
Yeah.
I do see a lot of similarities with the way that actually FlyQuest tried to counter one of these hard engage comps, where they wait until they have their item power spikes and then they force something. And it was actually really tense because they couldn't burst the Baron down in time. So it's smart for them to peel off, and they're actually able to sync up their ultimates and burst out the Sejuani before this fight. So this actual instance, I think, was very well played by Weibo.
Yeah, and I also think you can see the power in this Weibo team composition right here. The R4 Amumu and the R5 Renata coming through in the draft, it actually makes it so difficult for LNG to take 5v5 fights. That's why they should have been setting up the split push, but then they should have leveraged that power on the map and not ended up in this situation.
They were like, nah, let's throw it away.
And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I feel like the experiment from Weibo to give up the Yone and trade it for Aura, that's valid. The main issue is we need to get Ezreal for either of these two teams, because both Light and Gala have had insane games this entire tournament.
Yeah, I think that was a win for the side of LNG in the trade offer, but every second counts, and thanks to the reliable Cisco network, LNG make the offer of 1 Nexus turret for the Mountain Soul and eventually the game. So yeah, their gambit paid off the most, I guess.
This was weird to me. As you can see,
beautiful.
Weibo trying to trade a neck, because their eyes got huge when they saw that they have Baron and that it wasn't getting perfectly defended. So right here, there is a timer here with Drake coming up, Mountain Soul, in about 15 seconds, but they think they can actually win on this push, and they absolutely can't. Tarzan's at half health, and more importantly, they don't have like a good way of defending their backline here from the Yone, because no one can push forward. There's the protection of the Nexus turrets, and then Jax just gets to go to town.
The amount of cooldowns absorbed there by Zika was like absolutely nuts. I think it was 3 ultimates, able to draw full attention, which bought the space that Scout needed. And Weibo could have just taken the bot side inhibitor, got their resets in, got the Drake, and they would have been fine.
They would have been fine. It would have been a 2-0. Like, bro.
Classic Weibros.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
It is true. To be fair, I was impressed because sometimes when you watch them in the LPL, when something is not going the way it should, right, they will double down, they will triple down, they will quadruple down. They actually pulled this game back. I will say, for me, it is blasphemous from LNG to have a perfect setup with the Yone and the Sidelane and the Jax, and to give up that advantage as they did. I will say that.
Sure.
But I don't Oh, now I think either can win this series.
Absolutely. I mean, it turns into a best of 3.
Yeah.
I will say, even though we can look at those really big moments with the Baron fight and the Nexus fight, there were big moments in the early game, too, that could have just made it a stomp either way. Weibo losing the early skirmishes, but then also LNG not stacking Drakes early when their top side is at their strongest point, to me, early on in the game. So the fact that it got that long was a lot of punches and counter punches from both teams.
It's true.
Yeah, and they had the setup with the, like LNG did with the 6 Grubs, and like they had this insane split push power, right? And another thing I'm looking at from both of these teams, because I think it's still going to depend heavily on draft and like what they want to do with that draft. I think we've still seen exactly who these teams are, where Weibo, no, yes, the in-hit trade, not good. But I do think they were a smarter team in forcing LNG to kind of respond to them. And then LNG, not always the best at choosing their.
Yeah, it feels like a 5-gamer to me. I wonder if Medic is sweating already.
It's pretty damn warm in here, Shox, so yes, I am sweating. It could also be cold, and I would also be sweating, because I'm just quite a sweaty man. Vedius, Kobe, are you guys sweating?
No, actually, I'm not even remotely. If my body loses any more water, I might die. Anyway, let's get into the game. It's the 3rd game of Weibo versus LNG. I think, maybe this is a hot take, but I think that overall, Weibo have played the team fights better, and LNG have played the map better. Maybe, actually, in hindsight, it's a very lukewarm take.
Yeah, it's about as cold as you feel right now, Vedi.
That's fair,
no sweat.
fair. But I think Weibo should stick to their strategy of continuing to draft towards team fights. I think that they've showcased a propensity to finding success in the 5 versus 5. I think that when it comes to the objective, they found good angles multiple times, and if it weren't for that overstep at the Nexus, then we could be looking at a match point situation here. So I think that it's on LNG to find a better way to convert those early game leads into something more substantial in the mid game.
And here we are in the Champion Select, brought to you by Omen and HyperX.
We've also had pretty big differences in the level 1s and the lane swaps coming out.
True.
For both of the games, actually, on opposite sides. So we'll keep our eye on the level 1s, on those lane swaps. Not going to get the Yone Aurora trade this time around. Right back to business as usual here.
There we are, Rumble and Nico banned away as well, alongside the Silas by Weibo.
So
this is exactly where they went in game 1.
Skarner ban, though, this time around.
Skarner ban from LNG does make sense. It is Xiaohu's 105th world game. He's passing Death for 2nd place, obviously only behind Faker, as we see the Ashe locked in here for Weibo.
Okay, so last time, in game number 1, when they picked the Ashe, I got super excited for the possibility of a Tarzan Nidalee.
Yes,
and this time, they don't already have a jungle champ. So
we're bringing the excitement back.
So we're bringing it back, baby.
The Nocturne going to be the instant lock-in for Weiwei. Will we see the Orianna paired alongside it? No, it's actually going to be...
this is what LNG went for in game 1,
exactly.
right? They didn't want the Orianna, instead they wanted
They're doing a bit of a salty run back here. With the Skarner being removed, they're saying you're now losing one of your frontline components. We believe in our ability to gain access onto the backline, but the idea is the same. A lot of dive, a lot of backline threat, potential picks on the side lane. As a Weibo now looking to grab Gnar for themselves.
Oh. It's just Gnar and a jungler, or do you look towards the Orianna, which we saw from Xiaohu in game 1?
Well, remember in game 1, we saw the Renekton prioritized from LNG. Yeah. By early rotating the Gnar for Breathe, you're kind of dissuading the Renekton pick, perhaps forcing LNG onto something different. But also in the current meta, I feel like there are very few things that will shut the Gnar down. Especially when you think of typical counter picks, you can just lane swap out of.
But you could pick something that's like very strong in the 1v1 because you already have the Nocturne and Ahri like a pick-oriented champion on the side of LNG.
Like a Camille, for example.
Yeah, so...
There's definitely the argument
the
that
here
he
was
got
banned in
3
round
kills
2
early in that game and was just unkillable, right? So if you can put him behind, or at least not have him as massively as he was in game 1, you can shut him down a little bit on the side lane. Alongside that, Gnar Braum locked in for Weibo, so they're leaving mid and leaving jungle for their 2nd rotation. Crisp and Braum, very aggressive as we've seen him be so often, doesn't have the same mobility as something like the Rakan, which means if he does get caught out in the enemy jungle where he likes to be, he's much more likely to die on this Braum.
Okay, so will be the Jax. I mean, the Jax was was so effective last game. The Counter-Strike plus the Zhonya stasis in team fights just buys you so much time and so much space. Of course, it was an accelerated Jax from the very beginning of the game. The lane swap really benefiting, and the opening of the game really benefiting in last time around. So we'll see if they can manufacture that sort of lead for the Jax this time around again and have a similar influence.
Jahu's LeBlanc will be banned away. Weibo, they should consider banning supports now, and Rakan makes a lot of sense. The question is, do they consider Rel to be a problem? I mean, so far we've seen things like Rel left up. I'm debating if maybe they want, well, no, I was thinking about Poppy, but then like usually the Weibo side would prefer to have the Poppy. The brand ban away. Concerned about some potential AP junglers. Do you even like Nidalee into the composition that you see right now?
Not anymore, especially because Weibo have also really, like you're saying, lean more towards teams fights. And that's why like a ban like the brand does make a lot more sense, because that has been a very successful champion form as well, something that's much better for the team fights. Nidalee, of course, not so much for those team fights.
That's the approach. Okay, so they're just going to take Gala off of Ezreal. I mean, I think it makes sense when we think about the LPL Ezreals so far at this tournament. They've been
pretty good,
rather effective.
And if we just think about last game, Gala had so much damage.
But then Gala just gets his Kai'Sa.
Yes, he does.
It's such a strong pick. Something synonymous with him, both in the LPL and internationally.
I mean, already so successful this Worlds on it, and when you have some good dive already showing, I'm starting to get worried for Weibo.
I mean, to round out the LNG comp, you're just looking for more dive to follow that up. Leona, but Aurel. If they want a little bit more lockdown, they could consider
Oriana's good, yeah.
They're Oriana, what we saw in game one, you talked about it earlier. The problem with Oriana is that once that flash is gone, you're very susceptible to ganks. Weibo going with the Freljord theme and looking to round out their composition with a bit of engage. I was thinking they could run back the Amumu.
Again, very similar compositions here for Weibo. Setting up a solid team fight, very strong front line, shifting to the Maokai for the AoE on the ultimate. Very wide range here. That plus a Braum, you can really cover a lot of these jungle corridors. And even the Baron corridor, like we saw last time around, them successfully trying to like funnel LNG into small areas. But LNG, once again, look to split the map. They've got some good dive for themselves. Gala on his signature Kai'Sa here, and backed up with an Alistar. That lane is not strong early.
Yeah, that's a lane swap lane, if I've ever seen one. Get the hell out of there. Leave Zika to deal with Light and Crisp, and just try and get yourself some gold on the other side of the map.
Third champ select's done.
As well for the
looks like another banger of a
not
game.
A champion is useful as a cow, just standing out in the field. Level 2 becomes more of a bull that you have to try and avoid, try and dodge away from. But overall, these compositions, kind of what we have expected to see from these teams. LNG with a lot of dive. Zico again on the Jax had a great game 2 on it. Weibo, a little bit more team fight threat, although I will say their composition seems to lack a bit of damage. Ash doesn't have the highest damage output.
Honestly, that was my instinct too, Medic. I think the advantage I had in game 1 was because of how far ahead Breathe got. He was able to offer a lot of value still in the team fights. But once that initial burst is gone, your consistent damage becomes very dependent on Light. I will say that Tarzan provides a lot more single target lockdown this time around. But I feel like LNG just have so many options with their composition. Like, true, they could dive, but Kai'Sa and Ahri actually provide great poke. They have a lot of mobility, so they can just kind of keep you distracted around an objective while the Jax provides pressure on a side lane. They also have an easy ability to play the 1-3-1. Like, I feel like that LNG's composition just is very well-rounded. And so I quite like what they're bringing here in game 3.
I like the look of Weibo's side too, though. I mean, Trinity Force is like the go-to now as well, so I feel like you're kind of very well-rounded here too, since you've got Trinity Force Gnar. Oriana scales super nicely and gives that bit of defense along with the offense, and Light here with the engage options on Ashe. Again, so much has been determined by the openings of these games though, and the lane swaps giving those advantage, setting them up for success. Now we're seeing the evolution of that. Like, all right, we're gonna stack a defense here if you do come for the invade.
You love a Jat stat, don't you? You work with Jat a lot. Do you want a fun Jat stat between these two teams?
I do see them a lot. I don't know if I love them.
Okay, well, Betty loves a Medi stat, so it's fine. These two teams have played up against each other 3 times in the last 2 months, as we see Tarzan. Oh, flash charm, flash away. Tarzan will escape. So yeah, 3 series against each other in the last 2 months. Guess how many Game 3s Weibo have won out of those 3 series? Obviously not including this one.
I'm gonna say all of them?
Nope, 0.
Oh, it was one of the other.
LNG win every Game 3 between the 2 teams. Our featured matchup is Xiaohu and Scout in the mid lane. Scout's already burned his flash, and LNG have looked for the invade on the top side. Scout was back across towards the red. Weibo have a man advantage right now as Tarzan can look for the engage. Zika on the wrong side of the wall. Flash away from Hung, but the flash chase. They're going to get concussive blows on him. Just need one more auto. Light will get it. Hung is left to his lonesome, and Weibo strike burst.
That was so bad for LNG. They started out by investing mid lane flash for jungler flash, and then wrapping around, and the extra ward here giving the vision. Weibo are the ones with Braum. Like, Braum is so insane in level 1 fights, the passive, the Q, and Weibo here, they're the ones coming out in game number 3 with a massive advantage. Wait, it's not done yet, Betty, look!
Zika's on the flank, has that flash. Tarzan hits level 2, Hung on his way to join the fight, but doesn't have a flash, and only has that pulverized counter strike. He's gonna go down, and Zika locks up Crisp. Tarzan trying to get the Bramble Smash away. Zika flashes forward. Twisted advance will get the slow onto Zika. Concussive blows as well, gonna get the stun. Breathe and Xiaohu walking down towards the bottom side of the charm. It's gonna land onto Tarzan, and he's down to LNG now, the ones on top.
What is going on? The top laners didn't even go to bot lane. They stayed mid. Breathe level 1, Zika level 1. The only level 2 in that whole exchange was Scout. He set up the charm. LNG find 2 kills in exchange.
No champions in the bottom lane until 2.5 minutes now when the top laners finally go down there. Both teams sticking with the play on top side. And you gotta say, well, looking at the results, it was good from LNG because they're able to stick with it. Zika's here closing off the escape from Weibo. They did not expect the full commitment. As you see in the replay, yeah, the bottom lane minions are all just fighting each other down there. Well, it's a brawl on the continued and extended level 1. Scout comes through, he hits the charm. Tarzan goes down, he had no flash, and we were talking in Champ Select. The first time around, the Jacks got a really big boost. All right, well, now they just got 2 more kills.
Yeah.
Zika
And
again should be a monster.
You doubted Scout flashing to get Tarzan's flash out, but he had thought 3 minutes ahead as the wall goes down. Oh, Zika might just die in the 1v1. The flank comes in from Tarzan. Zika trying to get out. Weibo here as well with the Dustbringer, but there's the slope from the Boomerang, and I'm not sure Zika can escape this precarious situation. Counter-Strike will buy him enough time to get to the safety of his tower.
Counter-Strike is a godsend. I guess the lesson learned here is always stick with the play.
Yep.
Continue the play.
Commit.
So, Zika doesn't have teleport, but it's not going to matter too much. I mean, honestly, the wave getting pushed in now, he can run straight back from base and avoided death right there. Just barely, just had the range. Gets away from the possible punish as Tarzan wanted to take advantage of the minion wave.
So, let's take stock.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because a lot has happened. The bad news for LNG is that their bot lane is in the 2v2 that they wanted to avoid. They're a little bit behind in farm, and they're quite behind in gold. On top of that, there's a lot of pressure being put on by Xiaohu in the mid lane because the matchup is still very favorable to Orianna, but Scout is not that far, he's not in too much of a deficit.
Yeah.
The good news for LNG is their Jax is very strong. As you already said, the acceleration of being able to get those early kills is going to get him closer to that Trinity Force spike, and he's only going to get to that monster stage that much quicker. All in all, the game is still in a relatively even state.
Agreed.
It's just a matter of, in terms of the matchups, I think Weibo is happier to find themselves in standard lane.
And it's funny because Breathe was the one who got the last hit on the original first blood hit too. So, you know, he also got the injection of gold, and now he's getting like the ping pong of the minion wave back towards him. So will be really fun to keep track of this one as we're going to stick with our flip-flopped Australian lanes.
They call them thongs out there, don't they? Flip-flops in Australia. So, LNG.
We got to call up our Australian now. We're Spawn.
So flip-flop lanes, yeah, we should have got like Spawn or Atlas on the desk instead. Weibo here, okay, as you say, with these flip-flop lanes. There is a slight lead for Light, but it's, 5 CS or so, nothing too monumental. Breathe getting that first blood and meant that the lead that Zika could have developed in the bottom side of the map hasn't been as substantial as it could have. But Zika is looking towards the mid lane here. Xiaohu working his way back, just wandering through that lane. Be back here in time. Grubs up. It looks like LNG trying to bring everyone to a potential fight around that first neutral objective.
The Grubs priority is something we've seen a lot in this series. Weibo has a tendency to try and fight, but it does look like they're going to concede. The pings are coming down onto the Dragon as Breathe gets the push and Tarzan makes his way towards it.
And this ward right here that they have in that little curved brush in the river gives you so much confidence, Not only do they have a good state to set it up, but they also have vision control of the only surprise brush there, and it will just be the agreement as Weibo don't even try and contest, move down to collect their Dragon instead.
I don't think either team will be too upset with that sequence.
Exactly, because again, kind of the theme of the series has been Weibo investing a lot in champ select in these team fight setups. And so if you get your early Dragons, you want to get some way to kind of force LNG into those fights where they come at you from head on, and you get to use the sturdy power of your front line to its full extent.
A nice push on the top side of the map for Weibo. Zika going to be able to catch this wave as we find ourselves in a timid early game.
Yeah, we had 3 minutes, 3 kills, and now
you
nothing's
call
happened,
that
Betty.
level 1 timid?
Yeah,
what
but
the?
I mean, that was chaotic. But now we've had moments of tranquility, peace, as minions perish on the rift. Gold is ransacked from their corpses. First items are the priority for both these teams. Grub spawning in about 3 minutes' time. And ultimately, both these teams are going to prioritize farming, setting themselves up nicely for that neutral objective spawning soon. In the previous game, LNG swapped their bottom lane around the map incredibly efficiently, securing so many early objectives and having so much control. This time around, the Ashe and the Braum are the terrifying duo to be afraid of. And as Weibo find themselves on the bottom side of the map, once they get that push, don't be surprised to see them return to this top side ready to contest Grubs.
LNG actually bringing Gala and Hung all the way up towards this top
arrow.
side. The arrow's coming down, hits onto Weiwei. Nature's Grasp as well from Tarzan. Breeze flashes away from LNG. No one tanking up the tower as of yet. Chris flashes in. They're looking for more. Twisted Advance. Paranoia on the back line, but the shockwave is absolutely massive. Xiaohu finds 4. Wei walking away wounded, but I don't think there's another way for him to go home apart from in a body bag. Xiaohu finds 2.
Weibo defending the play, and they're going to take such a huge lead with all of this extra gold. I mean, the shockwaves from Xiaohu was massive, and they will reap the rewards. Now they can control the rest of the map. Light even got paid off of it, taking out the turret plate here and landing his Ashe arrow from downtown.
A phenomenal read from Weibo. 4 members were on the top side of the map, ready to react to that dive. The communication was so clear, and I have to wonder what LNG saw on the map to make them feel confident enough to make that play happen. They did have the stacked wave. I'm going to keep my eyes on the minimap. They had no deep vision invested. They see Tarzan now. They try to call the play off, but Breathe setting it up. The Ashe arrow onto the Nocturne. They get the flash out from Gala. And then watch this commitment here from Chris. Flashes in, connects the slow. Nocturne comes in, and then Xiaohu finds them all with a phenomenal shockwave.
Oh, juicy. Gala was just on the edge of it too, on the outside. Even he got pulled in, and then they chased down the extra kills here. Plus they got a bunch of turret plate money in the aftermath. If you're the team that has...
Some reactions are not like the others.
I like the dead stare. I mean, the extra gold here, plus the early Dragon, means that the path forward for Weibo should be pretty straightforward, since they have the gold to be able to win the team fight, the composition to be able to do it, and with the Dragon already in their favor, the ability to try and draw LNG over towards them. LNG, of course, here though, with this Nocturne and these solo laners, going to try and make these sideline plays. Gala was massive in the previous game. He is on another one of his huge picks, possibly the most signature in the Kaisa, and he's going to have to do a lot of work this game.
What a shockwave it was from Xiaohu. The 6th highest killed. Well, no, he's the player with the 6th highest kills of anyone at Worlds, just passing past Showmaker. Has been here so many times. Last year, the first time, obviously, made it past the quarterfinals after leaving RNG, a 3-time MSI champion with RNG as well, but never really been able to translate that to the world stage, so often denied at quarterfinals. Now with Weibo looking to make it back to at least the semifinals. And LNG currently backs against the ropes, at least in this game. And they would be in the series as well. They would fall down to 2-1. Trying to find a bit of redemption for last year, where they did fall out in the quarterfinals to T1.
What I love about Weibo is how over the last 2 years, they just continue to surprise in terms of expectations. Yep. They had to go 2-2 in the Swiss stage to be able to qualify. There was skepticism around how they were going to perform. And now here they are in the first quarterfinal of Worlds 2024 against an opponent that they faced many times before this year. And it's an incredibly competitive series. You never really know what level you're going to get from Weibo. And here in Game 3, so far, they're looking good.
I mean, it continues to go that way. Coming into the series, they were 8-8 on the year. Now they're 9-9, splitting games even in this individual series. But back to the match at hand here, it is kind of on LNG to open up an area where they can actually create one of these plays, and they're actually going to jump on the Dragon themselves. I think it should be a response from Weibo, even though you see Tarzan walking from,
I think it's too late.
Fountain right now.
Miles away as well.
LNG should be able to just burn it down and smite it easy.
They will get the Drake. LNG secure it. Weiwei with the smite. Light and Crisp will gate them off from walking towards the mid lane easily. Tarzan's here as well to try and help Weibo push through that mid.
The only thing for LNG is they don't have anyone who can rotate up to top wave.
Oh, Scout going in, the Paranoia as well. They dive onto Breathe, who tries to jump to the safety of the tower, but he can't get there in time. The arrow going wide, Nature's Grass used as well by Tarzan. Xiaohu coming in with a TP, and Zika was caught with a shockwave. Zika diving back forward, he's surviving for so long. In the end, the clockwork wind-up will take him out. Xiaohu now in a 1v3, Light beginning to collapse. Hung his first target, Crisp there to join the Barney. Weiwei falling low. Xiaohu can't quite get in range, needs another auto command attack. Was blocked with the Soul Shield. Blast cone out from Weiwei, but he goes the wrong way indeed. Xiaohu takes the kill, Hung dies as well. Meanwhile, Scout is getting chased in by Crisp because it blows. Glacier Fisher used. Scout flashes, but the Winter's bite is icy and cold and puts him in a coffin.
It's 4 kills for Weibo. The initial dive looked well executed from LNG. That's exactly what their comp wants to do. Catch you on a side lane, collapse quick before the enemy can respond. But Weibo do respond with lethal force.
Weibo counter, counter, counter. They had been pushing up on topside, and Xiaohu's able to teleport there in with the Orianna and make the biggest difference. Let's take a look at it. Because the setup, they push the wave in topside, and then Nocturne ultimate goes off, but Xiaohu got his teleport off just as the Nocturne ult is placed. So Xiaohu arrives in time. It's just so critical there that he is able to help defend this. And this Orianna collecting 2 more kills, just getting richer and richer and richer in this. Weibo able to chase down the extra stragglers after the LNG play. You got to be so quick. When you're playing against a Nocturne,
it has to be almost instinctual. You have to be like, they can be collapsing here. Let me be in position to immediately TP in. Scout dies in the end to Crisp, as you say. 4 kills over to Weibo. 4 kills now on the Orianna as well. A 350 gold bounty on Xiaohu's head. It's a bounty that's been there through his many years in the LPL, and now a 1.5k lead for Weibo. They have strong top, strong mid, 80 carry in a good spot as well. Gold leads in mid and in that bot lane role, alongside Crisp, who, you know, I'm always happy to see a support getting fed, getting paid. For LNG, the question becomes, how do you fight back? You can delay a little bit. You've already taken 1 Drake, so Soul Point, not too, it's quite a way away before you really have to battle over that.
Yeah, the problem for LNG is usually you're like, okay, well, if you're looking at this setup, then maybe they can make a pick, you know, with Nocturne Ultimate coming in and Kai'Sa flying in with Killer Instinct. But in a lot of the plays that LNG have tried to set up, Weibo's countered them. And then Weibo comes out with all these extra kills as they chase them down. So it really has been a tough ask on the side of LNG.
We saw in that lane economy Snapchat brought to you by MasterCard, a 1.2k gold lead for Xiaohu in the mid lane. Has the Seraph's Embrace completely stacked up. There's an angel on his shoulder guarding him. He's being matched by Scout in the top side right now. Crisp sometimes goes on a little bit of an adventure around this point in the game when you're trying to set up for neutral objectives. It's a minute 30 on the next Drake. Maybe we'll see him stepping a little bit too far.
And crucially, Crisp flash backup. Every time we've seen him with it available, he has used it to set up a play for his team in this game. Often, you can criticize Crisp for his aggression. Sometimes he overstays, he gets caught, but this game, it is working to Weibo's benefit. 8-4 is the kill lead that they have. The Dragon spawning in about a minute's time. LNG with a similar situation to game 1 where they're getting that deep push on the bot side. Crisp needs to be careful here, a little isolated, but he has enough vision to walk his way to safety. And
safety, also known as the bush by the enemy red.
Yes, that too. He's a man that likes to play on the edge. But Weibo happy to just farm up in this situation, wait for those big fights. They have to be very respectful of the potential side lane collapse. You can see even with the lead that Xiaohu has, knowing that he could out-trade Scout, he's not approaching. He's waiting for the wave to come to him, knowing that he can't afford that overstep with Dragon so close.
And they also want Tarzan to pick up one more camp. I think he's just finishing up that blue, just got his jungle pet upgraded, so now his smite does the same as Weiwei's if a 50-50 was to occur at the next Drake. They still have the Rift Herald in pocket as well, if Weibo wants to try and use that to develop some pressure towards the mid lane, but Hung, oh, that arrow went backwards. He's looking for the stop here. It looks like Scout is going to be able to dodge away from the arrow, but Hung is the one who's being caught. Crisp chasing in. There's the shockwave back. Hung gets a good unbreakable will off just in time. Tarzan going for the chase on Weiwei. He'll be feared back though. Hung trying to do everything he can to survive here. Does still have the flash, but in the end he will be sacrificed. Weibo find another.
An easy pick for Weibo as Hung chooses not to flash, knowing there's few places for him to go. Scout cross-mapping on the top side, but the Herald dropped as well. Weibo going to get a lot off a single pick.
Yeah, as you say, Light shot the arrow up towards Scout, and Scout just went right back to the tower, so they've made the call to go for the gold here. Meanwhile, Weibo are going to get so much more since they also have Rift Herald. They get multiple objectives.
Looking for another charge, perhaps to the tier 2 in the bot lane.
Tight little turn there.
That was very, very impressive there from Crisp. We'll give him his driver's license. You might wonder why sometimes you see players do this. If you can get the Rift Herald to charge in off synergy, you can actually deny some of the XP and gold from the enemy team. The TP behind here by LNG as Scout looks for the flank. The Rift Herald helping Weibo out, but more just dawdling through the river right now. LNG gonna put their attention down towards Zeka. It's jumped on down towards the bottom side. Light and Breathe able to take him out already. Weibo have got one. Scout still looking for that flank. The Drake secured by LNG, their second of the game. Exchanged for a kill in favor of Weibo, but LNG will be very happy that they stopped the soul from stacking up. The arrow, though, finds Weiwei's heart, and Chris follows up as well. Weiwei, the twisted advance enough to spell his demise, as Weibo might turn their attentions towards the top side, but no Baron for a minute.
Oh, it's Light with the snipe to find the extra kill here. That was such a funny fight to watch though, because it starts out with like a kaiju fight of Rift Herald versus Dragon in the pit. As they drive it into the pit, it starts aggroing on the Dragon, and then Weibo say, all right, we're gonna go for the pick on the side here because Jax is alone. So we're gonna go for kills, and LNG opt to burn down the Dragon instead and try and steal away the objective while you're killing off Zika. So they do get their kill, but the objective goes the way of LNG. They stop any sort of that Dragon stacking that Weibo would go for. It's just that here, once you blow your Nocturne spell shield, it opens up for Light, and he hits those.
The Ash arrows have proven valuable for Weibo as they find another victorious fight. Crucially though, LNG slowing down those Dragons means that they can buy themselves more time. They're not at risk of the soul going the way of Weibo anytime soon. The greater problem is the Baron spawning in 10 seconds.
And the greater problem is going to be, how do you ever win a full team fight versus Weibo? That is 6 kills on Xiaohu now, on Orianna. Like, he is going to be massive. He's going to have a Leandries done very shortly here. Has the safety of a Seeker's Arm Guard and Light.
Oh, it's fine. Yeah.
Trade of ults. Xiaohu forcing Scout's ulti.
Weibo just using that pressure to develop control around the Baron right now. As you say, this is where the next battle lines will be drawn, the next field of war. But LNG still only allowing superficial forays into their jungle. Hung and Weiwei doing a good enough job of making sure there aren't any deep wards in here right now. Scout with no ultimate has to play a little bit more cautiously towards the top side. Weiwei's here to shadow him as Tarzan begins to collapse. Crisp goes in, spell shield. There's the charm from Scout. TP coming in from LNG as well as they look to turn this fight around. The paranoia has been popped by Wei. Diving onto the backline. Killer Instinct. Light locked up. Gala dives in and they're looking for the damage onto Light. The unbreakable wall is not enough to stop Gala on his advance. Chris falling to LNG find 2.
The critical seconds there. Breathe was unable to teleport as the Nocturne ult went off, so he had to wait the whole thing. And LNG, they use those seconds. They jump on Weibo. They jump on Light. They get the kills onto the bottom line members, and now they're pressuring. They're threatening the Baron, trying to draw Weibo into the darkness.
Weibo see the Baron hasn't been started by LNG. They have the shockwave now on Xiaohu.
Oh, sneaky, sneaky.
They don't know. They actually don't know.
They thought it wasn't being done. And now Tarzan's going to walk up, chuck a sapling in there and realize, oh my god, this is 6,000 HP. Xiaohu has a TP, he'll try and join the fight. Breathe coming in from the top side as well, but the Baron has already been finished. Xiaohu comes in, Hagen's going to sacrifice himself to make sure his team secures the ultimate prize. The Baron taken by LNG.
Such a crucial punish on the side of LNG. It feels like that has been the story of this series. A team makes a play, how do you respond? And LNG responded flawlessly. Early use of the Nocturne ultimate to bring the TP in, force Weibo to split apart, and Light was left isolated. The dive comp came into fruition from LNG, and removing Light meant a one-team fight.
Zika wailing away on Tarzan, knocks him back with a Bramble Smash. Void Seeker coming in from Gala. Look at the damage onto Tarzan. The paranoia being used as well. Everybody's coming to get you as Tarzan begins to retreat. But the dive in is enough. Tarzan is going timber. And Gala's looking for more. Zika will take out Light. Crisp now left to his own devices. He's fried by LNG. Xiaohu trying to escape, but there's another Spirit Rush. And Scout will be holding the charm like his life depends on it, because it almost might. Xiaohu still finds him through the charm. Void Seeker going out as Xiaohu is chunked down to 200 HP. Breathe about to go mega knocked over the wall by Hung. LNG will get the mid-tier 1, but not much more.
Another teamfight win for LNG. This time, Weibo once again split apart. Breathe wasn't anywhere near the fight. He wasn't present to protect them from the collapsing flank. And Zika once again doing so much work on this Jax.
Oh, they are keeping it interesting here. LNG find them on the map once again, and this was Weibo trying to push back after the play. Zika here on the flank, locks up Tarzan, and gets so much damage done that they can follow through with yet another Nocturne ultimate. It only gets dicey as they further chase. You know, Gala always can follow up on these plays. Very easy for the Kaisa, right in there on the Killer Instinct. They collect the extra kills, but then they want more. Vedius, they're looking at Xiaohu, and they're looking at this big bounty on his head. They want the Orianna, but they just can't get him. Breathe comes in, pulls out some heroics, helps out Xiaohu, who remains unkilled on the Ori. There remains a big hope there for Weibo, but
neither of these teams can just have a clean game, can they? The other team always has to pull out all the stops, and that's what makes Weibo versus LNG so exciting. We already said it before, every time these teams faced this year, it went all the way. Every time, back and forth. And in the best of fives, Weibo was getting the better of LNG up until the World's qualification, where LNG could shut them down.
And it all comes down to less than a second of reaction time. You know, it's these two different team fights went so differently based on the first one where Xiaohu was able to react to the Nocturne ultimate and he squeezed it in there and immediately got his teleport in. And then the last one, Breathe got locked out and LNG were able to take advantage of that little timing, take down Light, take down Crisp, and then knock-on effect of grabbing all those extra kills on the map and chasing them down. Games at Worlds really do come down to these fractions of seconds and playing it nicely.
I mean, they really do. Your tournament life is on the line here as well. There is no regional qualifiers after this for you to re-qualify. Let's take a look at where we are. 1,000 goal between the two teams, 25 minutes into Drakes apiece. Recently, it's felt like LNG have the impetus. They have the ability to step forward, but sometimes that stepping can be a bit precarious. Hung almost caught there, is able to escape.
I think LNG fans will rejoice in seeing a lovely, lovely sight, and that is Gala on 3 items Kaisa. That is a very scary AD carry right now. So wow, you know, Xiaohu is this pillar for Weibo this game with his 7 kills and his big bounty on his head. LNG are just looking to prey on him. Without the outer towers, he is very vulnerable. Orianna is always vulnerable in these side lanes, and so you see him having to wait. The little tiger here in the brush, waiting to collect minions.
That's his natural habitat though, Kobe. He's ready to strike. He's just waiting on enough gold to finish up that Zhonya's, and then he'll be able to step that little bit further forward. The threat, as you say though, of the Nocturne, of the Ahri, of the Kai'Sa just diving in on a side lane is ever looming.
See how well Weiwei rotates between the two sides, because wherever this Nocturne goes, that's where the big potential play for LNG is. He's the big gold holder, and he's the one with the big team fight changing ultimate.
Xiao, he should be extremely close to completing the Zhonya's. A very important item for the
Does he
upcoming
get
fight.
it in the next minute, Betty?
He definitely should, yeah. You can see him recalling now. He caught the top wave. That should have been enough gold for him to complete it. The reason why I mention it is because on Orianna, you've already talked about the low mobility. It's super important with this Jax and Nocturne and, well, literally everyone on LNG trying to dive on top of you. And crucially, you talked about Weiwei before. This Maokai feels very squishy. Like, that is not much of a front line that LNG have to get through. And with the amount of mobility, the Braum will be the greater problem. And Crisp's positioning is going to be crucial to provide that peel for his carries.
I think the one thing LNG do have to be a little bit careful for in looking for their next play is funneling a bit too much into these jungle corridors.
Yeah.
Because while you mentioned Tarzan may be pretty far behind on this Maokai and kind of squishy himself, the ultimate still fills up an entire jungle corridor.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Braum can still fill up this entire area. And so Weibo can try and use these big AoE ultis, this zone control, to try and funnel in and be able to get an advantage there. LNG, though, already control wards down on the Baron, trying to put the extra vision pressure and split push pressure onto Weibo. You see Gala there was actually hovering Zika for a while.
Ooh. Zika takes the tower in his face, 700 gold for him. There's that split push threat. Same build that he had last game. He bought so much time with that Zhonya's.
There's no arrow for light now, so maybe LNG will see a window where they can look for something. Weibo starts to step up towards the Baron, try and regain control of this area of the map. Zika going in onto Breathe. He's a level down right now. Breathe gets the Gnar back and forces Zika to just farm up those minions instead. Scout still looking for that flank. A little bit of vision for LNG. Just behind enemy lines here as Chris walks across it to get back towards the river. At some point, someone's got to deal with Zika. Breathe is struggling in that side lane.
LNG slowly but surely gaining more and more control over the map.
Oh, it's
Zika.
Light. Zika jumps in and Light is here to react. Zika has to flash away.
That's the Baron though, that's the go for Baron. Light is stuck bot lane, and he can TP top.
Breathe can TP as well. He's going to go back to base first, try and get back to full HP, but that Baron's already down to 5,000 HP. Nature's Scar's coming out. Hung doing a wonderful job of keeping the tree a mile away. The Baron falls in the forest, and LNG damn well heard it. Weibo could get nowhere near, and instead they'll look for a Drake.
So they're going to go Drake, but LNG know this, and with Baron buff, they're actually pushing on top side right now. Are they going to keep Scout pushing all the way towards Inhibitor Tower? They do have a couple trailing members there, too. It looks like they will commit to that. Weibo destroy this dragon fairly quickly, though. I think they should be able to defend.
Ash Arrow.
Looking for Scout. Doesn't find Scout. He spirit rushes forward with a dive immediately onto Breathe. The Gnar into the wall will buy him a second, but it's not enough time. Breathe is down.
The double trailing play for LNG. It's Gala and Weiwei with the ultis to immediately answer. What a bait.
What a bait from LNG. Dodge from the Ash Arrow into a setup play. Zika, we've already seen him take these towers before. He's going to take another. LNG very quickly asserting their dominance here in Game 3.
That was so sick. Scout was looking for it the entire time. They know exactly what your play is going to be. Dodges the Ash Arrow, and they punish immediately now with this Baron buff, taking down the Inhibitor turrets quickly.
Inhibitor Tower in the top lane already raised to the ground by Scout. Chris trying to respond, but there's no one there to help him out. Instead, they'll put their attentions toward this mid lane wave to clear it out.
Look at bot wave as well, Medic. You've got Zika catching another. The TP into the top lane. Scout never had a chance to base before, but now he has, and he returns with a death cap. Zhao has to be so careful.
If you're Weibo, how do you even jump on a side lane here? Because Kai'Sa and Nocturne are always threatening these ultis between multiple lanes to join and defend. It is just so relentless. The pressure with the added Baron buff. Zika
has a stopwatch. He'll use it before Tarzan can get the full engage. Hung trying to come across as well, but the Gnar into the wall was done. Zika, he's going to try and get the counter-strike off in time. First leap strikes away. The arrow going down as well. It's wide. Zika surviving for a hell of a long time while Sky pushes in the top side. In the end, Zika will fall even through the counter-strike. The Thunder Sky not going to be enough to keep him alive. Scout should be able to get an inhibitor for this and will do exactly that.
Exactly. It buys enough time to get the objective. The inhibitor taken. That's the price you pay for a single kill, Vedius.
They also get the flash out from Tarzan. Like, that's how difficult he is to kill, and it's not going to get any easier in the fights to come as well. We talked about how in the draft, both teams had options, but one of the things that Medic, you were concerned about was would Weibo have enough damage? They barely had enough damage to kill Zika. What about the rest of LNG? I feel like that this game is so difficult now for Weibo to turn around. And it all comes off the back of that single top lane dive. The way in which LNG was so quickly able to punish it, convert it into Baron, and the way they've played around Baron since then. Incredible stuff from them. And that fun fact from you, Medic, may end up ringing true once again.
2 series in the last 2 months, both times Weibo have lost game 3. LNG have come up the victors. The second one, obviously, in the regional, gone a little bit trickier for Weibo. They had just played the day before in the finals. But here, they are looking to try and even out the score. LNG knocking on the door of the Nexus. For them, it's redemption from last year. 0-3 against T1 in the quarterfinals. And Weibo was on the other side of the rift then. Tarzan swapped positions with him, but for LNG, it's years of promise, really, as an organization that have never really come to fruition that now might start doing so if they can make it through to semis.
Such good side lane play from them, as they have done with Scout. Always loving those side lane resources, the trailing play here. And now it becomes so difficult for Weibo to even gain anywhere on the map to start their play from. You see LNG with Gala in mid lane, just throwing out these W's over and over and over. The poke is painful here from this Kai'Sa. So even a couple of wards for Weibo, difficult for them to get.
So crucially, Xiaohu is about 300 gold off his death cap.
Okay. I think you wait for that amount of gold and let him buy it before you fight.
He's pinging top wave. He'd love to try and get it. You can see that that's what they're waiting for. It's such a massive item spike. And they're going to need it to stand a chance. Xiaohu is so paranoid, though, of a potential Nocturne showing up. There's only the sapling on the top side. They need to spot out this Nocturne.
Charm wide from Scout. Tarzan.
And look, there's the ping onto the top wave. He's going to it quickly. He knows where Scout is now. He can try and get that gold.
There's so much darkness for Weibo if they do try and step in towards that Drake. It would be soul for them, only third for LNG.
Yeah, maybe they give this one up. Maybe it's not worth it.
Light and Crisp waiting to see if someone oversteps to catch the mid-wave.
LNG want the kills. They're just itching to use these ultis.
Xiaohu sitting in base. He must be incredibly close.
The death cap comes
there
through
is.
for Xiaohu. Has the control ward as well. Zika chunked out to about 2/3 HP. The arrow going in. Just wide of Zika and Scout, who form a little conga line and avoid the arrow's embrace. Now Drake up 2 seconds.
That's a critical mistiming now for Weibo, because that was also Mega Gnar in addition to the Ash Arrow. Now Breathe is going to go mini, and this Dragon, are they going to try and steal it in some way? I mean, it just seems so hard now with no Arrow and no Mega Gnar.
And no flash on Tarzan. There's no way for him to get into the pit. Baron up in 15 seconds time. You give up the ghost of this Drake. Take it to 7 if someone wants soul. Make sure you secure as many buffs, as much gold as you can before the inevitable fight around the big purple worm.
I mean, we are fully into the late game now. Everyone nearing full builds. This final fight is largely going to come down to execution, but the crucial advantage that LNG have is setup. The approach to the Baron is a difficult one for Weibo. They have no deep vision, no potential flank wards, and Zika maintains pressure on the side lane. Breathe cannot stop him, meaning that Weibo's running out of options very quickly.
Breathe goes into mini Gnar. will be exhausted for a while before he can build up that rage bar again. LNG trying to gain control of mid in this topside jungle. Scout waiting in the wings to see if Xiaohu overextends. Zika now moves into the darkness and can work his way up towards that mid lane instead of burning his teleport. He's going to base, but that deception, that darkness that he sits in makes it so difficult for Weibo to know if they can engage or not, because where's Zika? Is he flanking us? The arrow wide again. Light has not been on target with them. No bullseyes yet. It feels this game as LNG will back away.
It's difficult because that is really the most like guaranteed attempt that they can make is just keep throwing out these Ash arrows. Maokai ult is so slow moving. Breathe doesn't have extra time to come up and be the one to start it out and look for it. Even though he does have his flash ready, has to constantly attend to these side lanes because LNG will not relent in their side lane pressure, and so they keep getting the better setup. It's so tense, Betty.
Yeah, it's the few moments before the drop on a roller coaster, right? We all hold our breath and hope that we see one final calamitous 5v5.
Crucially, the Weibo have found access into the pit. The side lane pressure has disappeared for now. The Baron is started.
All they needed was access, apparently, Betty. They're going to start up the Baron as they're trying to pull out the TP from Zika, and there it goes. Weibo stick to the Baron. The arrow goes wide. It hits onto Zika. The Baron down to 2,000. Scout going in with the charm as well. The Baron's already secured by Weibo, and they dive in with the Twisted Advance. Scout on the backline down to half HP. Already Gala's dead. He dived in and he died for it. An incredible Gnar. Breathe catches LNG out of the air and slams them into the wall. Weibo win the fight, and you have to feel they can just march down mid.
A single fight was all they needed. 5-0. Weibo will wipe out LNG.
They've done it again. Weibo draw LNG into the Baron pit. They get the Baron, they get the team fight, and they're going to get the dub.
30 seconds from anyone for LNG to be back up, but I think all they're gonna do is watch their Nexus fall in grayscale. Curses be damned. Game 3 curse, you say, Betty? Apparently, Weibo just don't care. Weibo are one game away from semis.
Light with the timing on the arrow on that teleport. Whew. They burn the Baron, they kite back during the Nocturne ultimate. Xiaohu survives with his flash, Light even survives, and Weibo move to match point in the quarterfinals.
An incredible fight from Weibo, an incredible game, and we've got more right after this break.
You wish. In the dojo. You want to head high? In the dojo.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Hit the ground, I'm on code. Run on on air when I flow. You would swear that I flowed. Hottest hand in my zone. I'm going hard for my city, yeah. I put that thing on my back. Get it and gun it, I'm back on 100. I'm ready, I'm coming in for the attack. I'm on beast mode, God level, cheat code, new age, hero, good verse, Evo. I'm on the move, I'm on the move. I'm putting in work, I go berserk, got something to prove. Cause I got power, I got the energy for all of my enemies. I'm on the way, saving the day, no one ahead of me. I'm on the, right here, right now. This is the moment we running it. This is the moment we running it. We doing this for the love of it. Give me a fire lives in my soul. It drives me to my goal. There's no distance I won't go. Cause the climb's all that I know. And I face it all on my own. So my name will be known. Yeah, my name will be known. Right here, right now. This is the moment we running it. This is the moment we running it. We doing this for the love of it. Give me a
Everyone taking up the tower. As of yet, Chris flashes in. They're looking for more twisted advance. Paranoia on the backline, but the shockwave is absolutely massive. Xiaohu finds 4. Blast cone out from Weiwei, but he goes the wrong way indeed. Xiaohu takes the kill. Hung dies as well. Meanwhile, Scout is getting chased in by Chris. Scout flashes, but the Winter's bite is icy and cold. Scout on the backline down to half HP. Already Gala's dead. He dived in and he died for it. An incredible Gnar. Breed catches LNG out of the air and slams them into the wall.
Breathe goes 6-0 on Gnar this Worlds, and it's Weibo on match point. And Jat, you were just telling me I have watched that last fight over and over and over. What do you want to show us?
It was a banger. Let's pull it up right away because we have one team composition that spends the whole game scaling. Just keep it paused just for a second. So much of it is about Gala and Ahri trying to get on Light and Xiaohu, and it's very important for Weibo when they actually get a fight, which was so hard for them to actually create, is that Light and Xiaohu stay apart from each other. Let's roll this fight right now and watch the moment that Gala goes in. It needs to be a one-shot for this fight to work, but when the original engage goes on to Xiaohu's Orianna, they land the charm, they think they can one-shot, he flies in, but he is keep rolling it, able to get the stopwatch off right after that charm. It stalls, Gala falls, nobody is on Light, so Light can fire free onto Scout, and it ends up being a 5-0.
That arrow as well, the first time didn't even catch that, but that straight on the teleport meant that they were a member down, and that could have been the difference maker in the damage.
Yeah, and also people might think that the sign I held up as we came, like when in doubt Baron, ? Was sarcastic.
Let's watch it. Let's keep rolling it again.
Yeah, as we keep rolling the fight over, because I think when you look
at
these two, look at these two compositions and the way that they work, this is so well designed to deal with the dive coming out of the LNG comp, right? So this is, the fight does not get split up the way that LNG would have wanted.
Gnar.
And yeah, the big Gnar on the backside. But again, every time that they try to go in, Weibo's composition has so many answers for what they want to do. And I know, Chronicler, you were talking as we were watching this backstage. You're like, wow, they're learning what
They're learning how it works.
But they're learning what Maokai does in real time. Because, like, let's take a look at all of the drafts from both of these teams, because I think it's really interesting what each of them have wanted to do, right? So we have the Nocturne and the Ahri, right, with the Jhin for setup. For LNG, again, we have this Jax, Sejuani, Yone combo. And then again, on red side, the Kai'Sa, Nocturne, and Jax. Like, all of them really, really want dive. Weibo has had such great answers for this.
Yep.
Like, this entire comp, Ori, Maokai, like, everything just, the Braum was doing so much work. And it feels like both of these teams have come out and been like, we have exactly what we want. Now we just want to play it out.
And if it wasn't for that incredible mid-game sequence where LNG did take back control, right? Because that's when they did find the... we have way more global presence. We have the ability to dive on top of you. When Weibo wasn't set up, that could have been the game ender. But instead, I think that we're seeing what we said at top of the day, which is specifically, there have been, throughout this tournament, it started out being very teamfight focused, then we moved to dive. And now Weibo is just drafting preemptively counter dive, and LNG just keep running into it.
And that's the cool thing. Shox mentioned themes about good and bad trade deals. To me, the theme is one team thinks diving is the best way to play, the other team thinks absorbing the dive is the best way to play. And honestly, I don't actually know what the correct answer is because of how close these last few games have been.
The Olympics were last month. You got to stop diving, okay?
Hey.
I want to look at something as well because... Let's talk about Xiaohu just a little bit, right?
My goat.
His goat. Jad, take a look at this top lane team fight where the goat is blinded.
He is.
But gets his ult off on, I think, 3 to 4 people. He gets a triple kill. I mean...
Absolutely. It gave them a lot of early momentum in this game. And if you watch this, it was an attempted dive onto a Mega Gnar, which is already a bit questionable. But the biggest thing here is even when Nocturne flies in, Xiaohu just flies out with the ultimate and catches 4 people.
You also see before this fight even starts, as that we see that the Ori ult go through, they landed the Ashe arrow again. Like, you wonder why they keep drafting this Ashe. Light has been so good with isolating people who want to dive in on top of you.
I think that was the first arrow they hit, and then I think the second arrow, because a lot went flying, the second arrow he hit was the one in the final fight. And guess what? If those two are the ones you hit, then who cares?
And the coach reaction was hilarious after that, by the way, from the Weibo camp, because you see there everybody's happy. we were thinking, did they just have a huge discussion of with Xiaohu if he was allowed to get Orianna, if he was going to do good? And he's like, no, he actually did well. Who
that
knows?
was shocking.
Something is causing him to go through it.
Yeah, it's true. Also, about Xiaohu, we just got Liam from our stats team to catch up. He's now 5th in Worlds kills, passing Perks.
Wow.
He is 2nd in MSI plus Worlds kills, passing Caps as well. And he is tied for the 2nd most wins at Worlds with Deft.
And also, Worlds is his worst tournament.
So
he's a
true.
3-time MSI champion in 2 different roles, and historically has been the guy who comes to Worlds and falls flat on his face. And he's definitely trying to change that narrative. Made it all the way to finals last year. Like, this team, they're shaky the whole time.
They are.
They're shaky the whole time, but they're up 2-1.
That's how they get ya.
I think you're also seeing why, right? Like, we talked about that LNG 3-0 in regional qualifier right after Weibo. We're coming out of facing BLG in the finals. This is why, and some of these like responses to what they've had to LNG, what LNG wants to do, this is why a lot of people who watch the LPL were like, you know what? Weibo should be the 3rd seed. Like, they are technically 4th seed, but we've seen them and we think that they could be the 3rd seed. There you see the dip. That's a nice LPL gold graph right there.
Even the game that LNG won, Weibo got that exact trajectory. They just weren't able to close it out in that one, right? We had the worst trade deals that I've seen, at least in this quarterfinals. But if that hadn't happened, we could have actually been looking at a Weibo, which I think is the one thing that coming into today, none of us would have expected.
No, absolutely. And look at it from the other side, right? This is an LPL versus LPL match. We talked about the team kills earlier, how the higher seed often loses out in these. But for Scout and LNG, what a blow it would be.
Yeah, that would be, I mean, Scout, he made it here. We weren't even sure if he'd be able to make it here. He's such a massive part of this team. He and Xiaohu have faced each other so much. These two teams know each other so well. And we'll see if Weibo can close it out now.
We'll see indeed, or if Scout can bring us to a game 5. What do you guys think?
I very much hope so, Afia. I'm going to be honest. Give me 5 games. It's a quarterfinal. Let's get these quarters kicked off correctly.
We were talking about it just before we went live, and it's so entertaining to have two teams that seem to excel in slightly different ways.
Yeah.
Because it makes them so evenly matched at various points in the game, right? And we see this constant back and forth. You have to imagine that the relationship that so many of the players have, we talked about it, former teammates, rivalries, the organization's history, like these players are so familiar with one another. You have to feel like that all of it is now coming out into this series. Let's see if LNG can bring us to game 5.
Or it could just be blue side wins every game.
Could also just be that.
Weibo won, LNG won, Weibo won. Now we'll see if LNG can do the same, take us to silver scrapes. Kalista and Skarner banned away by LNG. Alongside that, the Rumble removed by Weibo.
All right, will we get some variation here? The Silas once again still sticking up there. Scout, of course, was quite good with that already early on in the tournament versus DK. No more Gnar, though. Breathe has crazy Gnar stats. They flashed it after that game, further improving. So no more Gnar option, at least for him, for side lane.
Weibo doing it again. They're willing to take the Yone for Aurora trades. I mean, you mentioned it, Medic. While Scout did not die in his Yone game, I would argue that his impact overall wasn't as much felt as Zika's Jax.
True.
Which makes me wonder if Weibo will look to take it away. Perhaps Breathe will look to prioritize it. I think it can be great into the Yone as well, and a very effective denial pick.
For a second, I heard the crowd here in Paris go, oh, yeah. Then realize it's never going to be Fiora. Instead, it is the Jax for Breathe alongside Aurora for Xiaohu.
I mean, people, since Yone became such a big topic at the tournament so early on, people were then cooking up, you know, the lane counters and stuff, and getting excited for stuff like Fiora. But you have to take the Aurora on this side, and then you pair it with the Jax for two very, very strong solo laners for yourselves for the side of Weibo. So honestly, I think that this trade actually looks quite good for them. It is, of course, going to be at the cost of your jungle power. The Sejuani, as we mentioned last time, always supplementing the Yone, plus the Renekton here, the double melee solo laners, the go-to for skirmishing on the top side of the map.
I want to remind people, game 2 was very much in Weibo's hands. If they hadn't extended on those Nexus Tower pushes, we could have been at a 3-0. And this top side, once again, very similar from what we saw from LEG in that game.
That is a key takeaway, though.
Yep.
The Ezreal to steal away from Gala, because Gala was the one that did the most damage in that game for LNG, and Light also an exceptional Ezreal player.
And now you can ban away Kai'Sa and Ashe. And as I say that, Kai'Sa's already banned away. Wouldn't be surprised to see LNG ban things like the Braum out. With this melee topside, Braum is the last champion that you want to play up against. They could also consider banning away the Poppy.
Or Renata also, like
Renata
all these things that are hard for you to play melee into, but there are so many of them.
It might be another Amumu angle, by the way, Kobe. Like, it is a very AP-heavy topside. Merc Treads will gain a lot of value for sure, but we saw how effective Tarzan alongside Xiaohu could be with this Aurora Amumu combo. But there's that Ashe as well, so in terms of the AD carry pool, Weibo seem to look very happy.
Definitely agree there. All right, LNG, what's the thing you least want to play against when you're running triple melee topside that's looking to create plays?
I feel like Renata would be quite a good ban here from LNG. Get rid of something that can really stop you going in for those engages. Instead, they'll remove the Leona. And now Weibo can leave support for last, can pick jungle. They already know they're playing into that Sejuani. Or
oh, and they take the Rakan.
Take the Rakan
That should
away.
have been obvious. They've been so concerned about Han getting his hands on it. And it's also a great pairing alongside the Ezreal. Great backline threat. Good follow-up alongside the Jax. And it also leaves them open to get a full picture of what they're playing into before locking in their jungler. Now, bear in mind, Jarvan could also be a solid option here, given that Jhin won't have the mobility. But I do feel like that they'll lean more towards the Amumu.
There are a couple of them, yeah. The Jarvan, the Amumu, the Maokai as well still available. A lot of the things though, because you're, like you said earlier, you don't want to give them too high value on Merc Treads.
There's the Maokai.
And the Nautilus locked in for LNG. They're having a great team-fighting composition. They can assassinate someone. They've got good pick as well with the hooks, with the Glacial Prison from Sejuani. The Maokai, as you say, locked in now for Weibo.
All right. I mean, you're sacrificing a lot of skirmishing power. Sejuani with this top side, very potent in the 2v2s, 3v3s, and Tarzan was getting bullied in the previous game. But in terms of team fighting strength, Weibo have a lot of tools.
I know the majority of people probably want to see this push to a game 5, but I do prefer the Weibo draft in this one, especially the change in AD carries. It is a little bit of a change, but stealing away the Ezreal and then Gala back on this Jhin, I don't know. That one's a little bit risky. People love to hate on the Jhin and the low damage sometimes. We'll see if they can make it count. It does have, you know, the long range to be able to follow up on a lot of these melee forward-facing plays, and so LNG do have the potential to be explosive. But I kind of believe in the Weibo side.
LNG were knocked out of the quarterfinals last year by T1. Weibo qualified to the semifinals, but everyone thought, there's no way they'll beat PLG. There's no way. And then they made the impossible reality. They're looking to replicate and usurp expectations once again, while LNG are looking to deny them. The trade in junglers, the former teammates, the rivalries, they're all here on the table. And for LNG, they have to step up here in game 4.
And for Weibo, they just got to keep doing what they're doing. Get the mojo, play the underdog card, and somehow come out on top again. No one expected them to beat LNG in the playoffs, nor Top Esports. Obviously, they lost to BLG in the end, but then they beat JDG in the qualifiers. Everyone thought Weibo wouldn't even make it here to Worlds, and on the back of a player like Xiaohu, who has now tied the second most wins at Worlds, alongside Deft, and the second place kills across Worlds and MSI, having passed Caps for that honor. I think a lot of people, you know, you overlook Xiaohu because sometimes he can be a bit quiet. In summer, he was quiet until the playoffs came around, but this man is a man you doubt at your peril.
I mean, I completely agree. It's crazy to realize the accolades that he does have domestically and internationally. And very rarely do people put him as best mid laner all time alongside that of Faker. Because it's hard to, it's understandable.
Because he hasn't got what they truly covet, the World Championship.
Yep.
And so here, this run so incredibly important to Xiaohu because it was a rough summer for him. It's a rough year, so if they're able to keep this streak alive, these Weibo miracle runs that people have, honestly, you should be getting used to these by now. Last year Worlds, in playoffs like you're mentioning, see if Weibo can keep the magic alive.
Because it truly is magic for them. For LNG, came in to this series as the favorites, were in playoffs as the favorites, and now Zika and Scout trying to get some experience between the two of them to deal with the push that happens from Light and Crisp on the top side.
Xiaohu leveraging his passive beautifully, bullying LNG's solo laners out of this lane, but they get the push. That's what they wanted. Level 2 secured, the TP's gonna come through. LNG, they have 3 members on the bot side.
It's gonna be a dive.
He doesn't have level 3 just yet. No, it's not. The wave is too thin, and they decided to call it off.
Yeah, they know Crisp is on the way. Crisp acquired his level 2 already in that mid 2v2 that we were watching, and so they are not going to make the mistake of trying to force the dive here. Just answer on the opposite side with the teleport.
Scout getting caught out here. Xiaohu trying to put the damage down, and once again, we see Scout having to burn his flash early in the Yone versus Aurora matchup.
I mean, it's a difficult matchup for the Yone. He's done a good job so far, but the bigger situation to acknowledge in this swap is that Zika was much later on the TP than Breathe was, meaning he's a full level down right now. And he also, I mean, he's not at risk of getting dived, of course. He's isolated against Light Ezreal, but Breathe on the Jax, in a very comfortable spot here in the early game.
And honestly, Weibo pretty happy with Light getting solo experience up on this top side, and has a pretty good time up here, constantly shoving in. Meanwhile, the defense for them on the opposite side of the map also going pretty well. I really want to highlight Tarzan though, because it's these small things where he takes a very efficient side path, getting that flash out of Scout so early on. I mean, now he gets kind of...
He's able to cover Light, and that's kind of the important thing here. Zika was looking for something onto Light there, couldn't find it.
Yeah, just slightly down on experience here. So he's one level down to the Sejuani, has to give over control of the river, just continually throw out those saplings though.
There's 2 camps down, and it looks like Weiwei should be able to path down towards the bottom side to get himself a double scuttle. Tarzan will go back towards his red. Weiwei might be able to gank Xiaohu in the mid lane here. At least burning his flash would be huge. Scout trying to build up that Mortal still. Q3, knock up on Xiaohu, has to flash away.
Good presence there from Weiwei to, at the very least, get that flash out from him. Scout's being up earlier means that there's potentially a play once Scout gets level 6 in the mid lane. Light, though, keeping his pressure on the top side as Weibo's top support combo looks to push out that bot wave. Zika with no TP, he's going to lose a decent amount of farm. Maybe Hung can hold the wave. Nicely done.
You can see Weiwei actually covering for this as well. If Crisp does go in, or Breathe does as well, Weiwei can dive forward. Hung's going to try and delay for as long as possible. It's taking about half his health to do it, but this is really well played by the LNG support. 1 minion down, will be 2, 3. Well, he gets the experience from the third, does Zika. He'll be very happy with Hung's sacrifice of HP to keep his minions around.
Yeah, every little bit of experience really matters once they match back up. If he's going to go toe-to-toe with Breathe once again, you assume that Breathe on the reset will head back down there. Yep. So it should be that. Meanwhile, Tarzan on the Maokai is on bottom half of the map right now as well. So much pressure here, though, towards mid lane. I wonder if they'll just cross, because Crisp on his reset is coming to hover.
Scout in a really difficult position right now just because he used his TP earlier once that initial play came through, and then Xiaohu TP's back with full HP.
Yeah.
So it's just it's a very difficult lane situation for him, and it's made worse by the fact that Crisp is now hovering around mid, and Scout, it's a risky wave to stay for.
Really wants to get that level 6 if he can.
Has to call Hung over to help him so he can take the wave at tower.
But overall, a very quiet early.
Yeah, where's my level 1?
Yeah.
Where's my 5v5, Betty?
So far in this series, it's been a bloody affair. These teams have been no strangers to getting down and dirty. Normally teams take time to warm up on stage. Feels like they've just been cooling down.
Yeah.
You know?
And it does often happen when you get towards match point in a series like this, right?
It's
Both
true.
teams calm down. You don't want to throw the game level 1 by overstepping. Like jumping onto Gala has a level advantage in that top side right now.
Scout has no teleport, so his recall right now, it was not on Vision, but LNG are still able to go take first Grub, even though they're on the timer where Scout is recalling and then heading bottom side, because they see that Breathe with no teleport on the Jax is still pushing the wave in. That was Smite invested from Weiwei though, so Tarzan should be able to...
Look at Zika.
He's on the flank, but Xiaohu's going to come across as well. That ultimate from the Aurora is available. They dive in. Meanwhile, on the bot side, Breathe is just farming minions. You can see Light's already got 1 kill. Between Worlds is a second as Zika falls as well. Weibo find 2, take 2 grubs as well.
A confident play there from Weibo as they're able to collapse with numbers first. Weiwei now isolated, trying to sacrifice. And he will get away with it. Nicely done there. But still, Weibo find 2 kills. They get 2 grubs. And Breathe is finding purchase in the bot side as well.
Yeah, Breathe was pushing that whole time. Had to be answered by Scouts. Goes to invade as well before getting his recall off. And that ward that he just dropped here behind Krugs will see the next clear and allow them to continue tracking Weiwei after the reset. We'll track scout though, getting some turret plate money at the very least on the bottom side of the map. It is Yone. You have to be worried about this champion always, but here's the setup.
It was just weird from LNG to decide to keep taking this fight, right? Because your AD carry's nowhere near the battle. You know you don't have TP on your top lane. Yeah, the curtains can open, but already 2 people are dead before anything really happens.
Yeah, I completely agree. You know, with Gala there, up in the tower, like Jhin can open up the ultimate, but it's so little, so late, and so much damage. There we go.
Daney with the great reactions all series long. We returned to live, and at the bottom of your screen, if you're an LNG fan, then it's a scary situation to find yourself in.
Red, 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 red. 400, almost 500 gold lead for Breathe on that Jax, already scaling up towards the Triforce spike. Mid lane as well. Xiaohu's already shown us his Aurora can be so powerful in game 2 here. Continue to do so. Across the board, leads for Weibo, and LNG found a little bit wanting. Weibo will be able to get the Drake as well. So this is 2 Grubs, a Dragon, 2 kills, almost a 2,000 gold lead, currently sitting about 1.5k their advantage. And really nothing for Weibo so far. They will start scaling up towards first items. You know, Yone on Blade of the Ruin King feels like a much more powerful champ than he does before you get there, but it's still a little bit of a while away. Scout is looking up towards this top side though. Breathe does have flash. He'll walk towards the river to try and get some vision and make sure that he's not being collapsed on.
They're certainly going to have to do something to change the direction of this game. Of course, on next Grub spawn, that might be an opportunity for them to do so. Have to have a much better setup for it though. I mean, they do have the summoner spells to do it. Meanwhile, bottom side, Crisp here trying to get that deep vision. Again, Weibo have been so good at replacing their deep vision, allowing them the extra information to set up these plays. And Light here, the bombardment from bottom side, constantly keeping that up.
Doing it blind as well. It doesn't actually have vision around that corner. It can't quite see exactly where Hung is, but still hits him with a Mystic Shot with the True Shot Barrage. Weiwei trying to cover this top side. May look a bit of damage. You can sneak in here. Zika clearing out the minions to make sure that Weiwei can get a little bit further forward. But with Crisp on his way, it may just be cover. Breathe goes in with the Grandmaster's Might, and as soon as I say it, Breathe goes in for the bite. He flashes away. Quickness coming out from Crisp just to dissuade any further advances.
Great punish there from LNG, but Breathe, with his fancy feet, is able to navigate his way out of that situation. Still able to catch that top wave too, so no real damage done aside from losing his flash. Weibo hold on to their lead for now, but a really nice idea there from LNG.
Yeah, the lane gank from Weiwei sneaks in through the side brush with the Sejuani. I mean, this is what they invested their whole draft into. Top 3 picks, Renekton, Sejuani, and Yone. You know, so much synergy there. And yet, unable to get any kills with them with the early skirmishing power of the Sejuani. You know, the lane swap, of course, going a long way, but now the second pack of Grubs that we have been looking forward to. After the reset here, they'll immediately start it off again.
Engage going in as they look to try and catch out Hung. He'll only land the dredge line onto Tarzan. Hung tries to flash the wall with the True Shot Barrage, just going wide. Crisp is going to chase him down towards the bottom side, but LNG won't really care that their support is being chased out by Crisp. The Titans rush for a little shield into the dredge line. Hung still surviving. Crisp has to flash away, and Weiwei's on the chase, collapsing in. Crisp still finds him. Crisp trying to dash back to Xiao, who will escape for the moment. The Grubs as well. The prize for Weibo. Scout looking for a little bit more up towards the top side. Weiwei now locked up between 2 worlds, and Gala trying to put the damage down onto Xiaohu, but he can't hit what you can't see. Xiaohu finds another. Scout was unable to find anything on the top side, and Weibo will get 4 Grubs.
And now it's just Weibo dominance. They get to their 4 Grubs. They're going to grab an extra one. 5 bonus here, and the extra kills. Crisp exerts support dominance, Vedius. Tarzan's able to find the initiation onto Hung. They get the early advantage in the play, and Weibo now with control of the Grubs, control of the Dragons, and control of the series.
The way that this game is going, it feels like that it's just a matter of time for Weibo. They're playing with such confidence, with clean execution. Xiaohu, a player that was so monumental on the Orianna in the previous game, now stepping up once more on the Aurora. But I feel like that you can never afford to underestimate LNG. with the direction that the game is going, as long as this Yone is in the game, they still have angles to turn it around.
It's good you put me in check, because right now I am underestimating LNG. Weibo just seem to be surging right now, and they're trying to play off their advantage.
Looking for a little bit more here as Zika steps a little bit too far. Tarzan goes in with the Bramble Smash, but doesn't follow up with a Twisted Advance, gets the Dominus out, and that will time out before Weibo advance for a second dive.
They get the flash, and that's all they wanted. Maybe play for plates as well. The arrival of Weiwei is crucial as the ulti comes through.
Dominus about to time out here. Zika, Glacial Prison hitting, but Xiaohu was able to dodge just outside of tower range, and now between two worlds. Go Weibo once again. Already Zika down. The rest of Weibo beginning to collapse here as Weiwei and Hung look for a little bit more. Dredgeline hitting onto Tarzan, but the curtain call is tanked up by Weibo. Gala trying to join the fray here. Scout still pushing in the top lane. TP coming in by Scout as they look to take the battle underneath the tower. Breathe locked up for a second. He will fall to the turret as Weibo have found another, but have they overstepped? Scout snap back to reality. LNG only got one.
The party in the bottom lane is actually going to move over to the mid lane. Tarzan running for his life towards his AD carry, but he gets snared.
To a minion, he got snared just in time. Instead, he goes to Tarzan. And Gala will reload and then put a shot in the back of the tree and find another for LNG.
It's 2 kills for LNG, finally on the board. But the damage that was done was still significant. More plates secured on the bot side of the map, more kills. And this dive from Weibo, the Aurora ultimate coming through, the Malignant proc finishing off Zika, and then Weiwei trying to catch Tarzan isolated, uses the W to try and sidestep CC, but this jungle support combo just doesn't have the damage.
The juggling of the tower aggro there, and then they return for the next part of the dive. They do teleport in Yone, and Hung actually with a nice pullback there onto Breathe, ensure that they get the kill on Jax under tower, and yet still, I feel like Xiaohu is the biggest winner once again on this Aurora. Is going to be such a big problem for LNG to deal with later, and he continues to get kills, continues to get richer and richer. Malignant's done here, like the ultimates are just going to keep coming.
Xiaohu's just in such a strong spot. He is a 3-0-2 and has been of Weibo's player of the series. He's definitely up there in terms of the impact he's had in their games. And now you can see the MasterCard lane economy snapshot is all red for Weibo. They are in prime position to close this out. Would be the first red side win of this series too. They start to crack through these tier 1s. Scout will answer on the top side with one of his own. LNG will get their first Drake, the second of the game.
Look at mid.
Yeah, they've got a Rift Herald as well for Weibo if they want to continue this advance. Light will take the tower. And for the moment, that's all that Weibo wanted.
Weibo with such a dominant start to Game 3. For so much of this year, playoffs in spring, playoffs in summer, the regular season games, it was back and forth. It wasn't until that regional gauntlet that we saw LNG 3-0 Weibo, and the discussion was, well, Weibo literally just came off the back of a final. With time to prepare, with time to focus on the opponent at hand, Weibo have demonstrated a level of play that we didn't get to see from them in the Swiss stage. The question is, can they maintain it? We've already talked about LNG are not a team you can afford to underestimate, and this top side is going to be crucial in allowing them to find an angle back into this game.
I want to take a moment to shout out Crisp as he is on screen right now. He's done so much to get and continue to keep up the deep vision for the team that creates plays. And there's so much talk about 2019 and, you know, Tien returning to Paris. But Crisp, also a world champion, and now he might have to make another play.
Hung looking for the flank here. They jump onto Tarzan first. They'll lock him up for a second. Weibo might lose their jungler before the fight really begins. And that's what's going to happen. Breathe tries to dive onto the backline, has the counter-strike. Gala cleanses a moment too early, but gets away from the between worlds. But Breathe slams him in the back of the lamppost, and that's another. Hung trying to do everything he can. Breathe doing so much work on the back here. Scout having to flash away. Breathe almost falling, but Crisp dances around and shields his top laner. In the end, Zika will get the kill, but Weibo are not done with him. They'll find another light on a killing spree.
In a 4 versus 5, Weibo turned the fight around. Breathe with unparalleled confidence, dives into the face of LNG and walks away the victors as they get a tier 2 turret as well.
Do you feel that? It's the Way Bros rising up. They are taking control of the entire map now, just demolishing LNG, taking their structures, taking the objectives, taking the team fight.
And keep your eyes on Breathe in the second half of this fight, because it is Tarzan that gets collapsed on. Without that big ulti engage to really follow up on, it doesn't. But look at Breathe. Dives into onto Gala, gets the cleanse out. CC, the follow-up Aurora ultimate onto 4 members of well to allow Breathe to get that kill onto Gala, who also flashed. Then the 3-man taunt from Crisp. Like, this fight has so many highlight reels from the individual players of Weibo that it allows them to win and secure the tier 2.
There's just something about this team. There's something just undeniable about Weibo. When they get in a series that matters, they always come out on top. Made their way through the playoffs. Last year it was their way through Worlds until they finally met up against T1 and were stopped at that final hurdle. Here they're trying to make that run again. I don't think anyone would have put them as a team that would make it to the semi-finals, but right now they're on the cusp of it. The Riftel charging forward. Weibo 5 players strong towards this top side. LNG just hanging on to anything they can.
And the reason people are so surprised, I mean, Xiaohu may be a legendary player, but this was not a great year for him. But this game has definitely been great for him, as well as a light here. 3 kills on the Ezreal, the consistent carry for the team. How are you going to get back and put any pressure on that Ezreal? Has the cleanse. LNG here are going to have to craft something spectacular to bring back the momentum of this series and push us to a game 5.
And what I love about Weibo is when they're on the red side, they said, have your Yone, Scout. Go on, have it. We have a plan ready. They lost game 2, then they just ran it back in game 4 and they said, no, have it again. We don't care. We have a plan and we're confident in it, and that plan is paying off. This Aurora from Xiaohu is massive. Breathe on the Jax is massive. And this gold lead the Weibo have is pretty damn massive.
5k ahead. Weibo collapsing on this red side jungle. Weiwei looking for
He
something.
stole that.
Tarzan did manage to steal away the red and gets the hell out of there.
Oh my, that is Weibro energy right there. In the face of 3 members, he steals away the red buff. And Weibo just continuing their dominant presence on the map.
I think we're going to have a moment of calm until this dragon does arrive on the rift. Teleport ready for Xiaohu. He catches that last wave up on the top side that Scout was able to push into tower. Going back to base to purchase his Leandries right now, I would believe. Does he have enough gold for it? He does. Huge item here for the next fight.
It's going to be in such a strong position. Scout sitting short right now. Wants to get up towards that stride breaker. Will want to get himself back. Zika looking to try and catch out Breathe. Does do so. He's a level down though, and I'm not sure that's a fight he really wants to take for too much longer. Weibo setting up around the Baron. It feels like any fight could be the death knell for LNG, and as much as we talk about the might of Weibo, you have to see the other side. LNG were looking for redemption after getting knocked out in quarters last year. Tarzan was on that team. They've never really lived up to the promise that the team could deliver. And here to fall short in a fratricide quarterfinal would be just so disappointing for them as a squad. Have to remember the problems that they had at the start of the tournament as well. Scout maybe not even joining the team until the last few moments, now here with them. And to underperform at the final, well, not quite the final hurdle, but the penultimate one at least would be devastating to say the least.
Yeah. I like that you focus on Tarzan, you know. Last year's World, him and Scout, especially the play in mid lane versus T1 versus Faker.
Oh yeah.
So much was made of that. But this year, on this new team, so big for Tarzan. 10 MVPs during the group stage in summer. And now, one big game in their sights. They have the advantage. They have the setup, control around Baron, the extra gold, plenty of split push power with Breathe's Jax to set up the map in their control, and Light with double summoners on an untouched Ezreal.
A tense situation as LNG must really feel the pressure with their tournament lives on the line. They're fishing for that play. 2 items finished for Scout. Bear in mind, The farm for Xiaohu has not been great this game, and as a result, there is a healthy experience lead for Scout. In the side lane, he is a threat, but Breathe right now is the one keeping him under control. LNG herded into their topside jungle as Vision is slowly suffocated. Weibo encroaching on that territory.
And as much as Scout being strong is important for LNG, you can see him in the top lane right now. Gala is less than a mosquito right now. The Mortal Reminder and the Static Shiv is not going to melt anyone, especially when they're ahead of you. You can see Tarzan has the Randuins and the Locket already complete. He can put some damage down, he can get put on the Grievous Wounds, but really, the fights come down to whether Scout can get onto Light on that backline, whether Xiaohu puts down a good Between Worlds. That Aurora ultimate controls so much space when used correctly. Currently, Xiaohu will be dealing with Zika in the bot lane, and Breathe is joining up with his team towards the Baron.
I just love watching Xiaohu on the split push too, because he's so careful. Just hovering back there on the Aurora, plenty of disengages, collects the wave while the rest of the team try and control the other half of the map. But LNG just made a strong push. They just dropped these wards over by Baron, and as soon as you say that, Tarzan and Chris move in.
Yeah, Weiwei's going to have to Arctic Assault across, and you can see Crisp immediately reacting to the fact that Scout jumps in with that Mortal Steel. Xiaohu now has the Seeker's Arm Guard as well for this next fight. So important that he can jump in and then have that stasis to buy himself a little bit of time to make sure the rest of Weibo can follow up.
Look at this Vision coverage. There's a deep control ward on the top side to allow LNG access to the river at least, but that is a dark river. LNG don't see anything, and Weibo are going to use it once again.
Weibo's Barons have looked odd, but have been exemplary. Scout's going to go in, unbinds his soul, and then jumps back, but Breathe is now going to mark him, and Weibo is still on the Baron as far as we know. Light and Tarzan trying to chip away at it. Light's going to dash back. Crisp going forward as well. Breathe on that front line. Curtains open. Tarzan's in the pit. Breathe gets the stun onto Weiwei. Meanwhile, Zika trying to distract the rest of the team on towards the back. The true shot barrage between worlds. Weiwei has to flash away, but Breathe puts him in his place. And now the dive into the back line by Scout is not enough to take anyone from Weibo down. It's all on Scout and Gala here, you feel. But Weibo aren't giving them a second to breathe. Gala steps in, does nothing with his Mortal Reminder. Breathe, though, will be taken out by Scout now. Weibo still trying to advance. Crisp can dance his way around the fight. No flashes available to them, apart from on Xiaohu, who does have the TP, and LNG are being herded like cattle down towards the bottom side. Scout will stack up the Q3 on the Grump, the TP coming in from Xiaohu as well, and Scout is just trying to distract Weibo for as long as possible.
Exactly, Medic. Scout knows that he can win in this skirmish, but he's just being shepherded into Weibo's base. The damage is good enough. The problem for Weibo is they spent a lot of time chasing Scout. The fight, though, we turn our attention to it. Weibo is just drawing LNG in. Kobe's been saying it for the whole series. Zika flashes in with no follow-up. He gets chunked out immediately. Keep your eyes on Scout here. He tries to find a good ulti onto two, but oh, a nice sidestep comes out from Light, and we're back on the Baron.
Scout dead for 25 seconds, does have the TP, but I think LNG might not take the battle around this. Crisp able to dodge away with that grand entrance. Weiwei going in for Xiaohu, who does have the Between Worlds back up. He's being chased up towards the top side. Between Worlds coming out as well as Breathe dives in for the enemy jungler. And Weiwei, there's no way away. He survives this day. LNG lose the Baron. Weibo secure it. They take the kill as well, and then they can back away afterwards.
Beautiful again from Weibo. They return to the Baron, they force again, and there's plenty of time to rotate over to the Dragon. Baron-empowered recalls means they can reset and run straight over to put themselves to soul point on top of it.
Phenomenal execution once more from Weibo. They knew they overchased, but they also knew that that meant that Scout would just be isolated from the fight. One of the biggest threats gone means that there's no way that Weibo wouldn't win another fight, and Malignant bringing Xiaohu's ultimate back off cooldown, ready for the second fight, was massive, as they now find themselves with a 9,000 gold lead.
And about to be on soul point 2 for LNG. The light at the end of the tunnel is looking like a pinprick more than anything. No real escape from them for this situation.
Oh no, Medic, the light at the end of the tunnel is 601 with 3 fully completed items.
That's
and they
true.
do not want to get to the end of that tunnel.
for Weibo. As you say, it is all done by that Nexus falling. They are 9,000 gold ahead now. They have this Red Bull Baron power play for the next minute and 40 seconds. They're going to sync up 2 waves. Top and mid are their objectives. Hung will look for something. Hex flash across the wall. Maybe find Xiaohu. You've got to, but the Zhonya's is going to have enough space for Xiaohu. The depth charge onto Light. He's not got the flash, but has the cleanse, and now here comes Xiaohu between worlds once again. Glacial Prism will hit Crisp, looking for the quickness on the backline, but now Hung and Gala are left out to dry. Gala trying to do everything he can, but Light just jumps in. They call him Light Yagami for a reason. There's a death note with your name on an LNG. Scout looks for the fate sealed and manages to turn the fight around. Somehow, Scout is revived, and now Breed pushing in the bot side. Xiaohu's going to help him push it out. They'll take the inhibitor, but LNG hold on to hope.
Only solo laners are left alive. Scout comes up with a triple here. Still has Yone. That is enough for them to at least get some gold, but it's at the cost still of the split push. Breathe finished off the inhibitor. Let's take another look at the start. Tarzan is the only one kind of exposing himself as target. He allows Light to arcane shift away, and then you find yourselves in a situation as LNG where you're really heavily committed towards this Maokai that peels, and as soon as the rest of Weibo come in, you know, Xiaohu with the ultimate from Aurora, they get the lead in the team fight. It's only here, Vedius, that the big turnaround from Scout. The Q3 into ultimate, and Zika there for the extra damage.
So much gold for Scout. Xiaohu's able to get another kill, but my goodness.
Oh my god.
That was not the reaction.
Light arcane shifts in, and immediately you turn around and like, oh god. Scout's done it again. And remember game 2, it was a similar situation. Weibo were well in the driver's seat, and then LNG found one team fight, and it all began to swing from there.
All I'll say is that 9k gold lead has gone down, but a TP flank.
Scout has IE now. Scout's looking for the flank onto Breed. Tarzan and Chris trying to help out their top laner. Scout jumps forward. Counter-strike coming out. There's the stun. Nature's Grasp being used as well for the root, but Scout's able to avoid it. True Shot Barrage coming out. Scout's down to half HP. He'll dodge away with the Q3. Depth charge as well between worlds. Fate sealed onto the backline, but Scout's already down, and Weibo have found the fight they were looking for in the bot side. Scout already dead. Gala walking away, but I think Xiaohu will not let him escape. Gala managing to get away for a second. The Mystic Shot just wide, but Breed comes in with a counter strike, and it's all done by the Nexus falling.
Triple there now for Breathe, and it's Weibo inside the base.
They're just the masters of mojo. Somehow, whenever you doubt them, Weibo will come out on top. Again, the underdog run continues as Weibo will make their way to semis.
An incredible performance from Weibo, defying expectations once more.
I thought it was going to be the year
Some revenge for regionals.
where
With some good
Weibo doesn't
prep,
fall through.
with some focus on team fighting,
Weibo
and some
manages
Barons,
to
Vedius.
fall through the
Oh,
cracks.
the Barons.
Great Barons from Weibo.
Thank you guys for watching. This was Weibo versus LNG. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Absolutely never, ever bet against
Have a beautiful
Weibo.
day.
We're going to be setting up
I'll
for the
see you
interview
guys
Tarzan.
tomorrow morning.